Hello, I hope you're doing good. Welcome to the African Home Building Analysis. Today we are at the Africa Investment Real Estate Seminar 2023, happening live at the MJ Grand Hotel right here in East Legon. And the main speaker, Mr. George Anson, is the renowned author of The Cash Flow Real Estate Agent, now the fastest selling real estate book right here in Ghana and in the US and across the globe. We have other speakers like Ms. Hannah Atiasi, the CEO of eWorlds Real Estate and Consultancy, and the president of GAREB, Ghana Association of Real Estate Brokers, will be here. The whole industry will be here. So if you're home, you can come and join us. Stay tuned for more information on this event.
For 30 cities. This is a paid item. In fact, I think the Beyond the Return booklet is actually 50 cities, if I'm correct. And then the key of the day, the Cash Flow Real Estate Agent. Yes. Clap for this. I'm so excited to have this. Mine is signed. It's signed by George himself. He signed it this morning. Wow. I am. And 10 people will also be getting signed copies thanks to Hannah, because they were the first 10 to arrive, and we love punctuality here, right? In fact, what is the time now, Eddie? 10:30, look at that. See, we didn't do 2 hours late starting Ghana time yet. So we have to reward the people that came on time. Hannah, do you have your list now?
I do.
I think that we should start off this morning with a little gift giving. Don't you think so?
Yes, I do.
Great, so we'll start with the first gift, is the gift of prayer, Hannah. Could you please bless us with an opening prayer, and then we shall give out the books.
This happens when they spot a pastor in the room, right? Please, let's rise to our feet. Let's pray quickly. All right. Hallelujah. Amen. Oh my gosh. Hallelujah. Amen. Let's pray. Father, we give you all the glory. We give you all the praise. We thank you for this session today. We pray for a mindset shift. We pray for the wealth anointing to generate wealth through home ownership. We give you all the glory. We give you all the praise in Jesus' name. Amen and amen.
Amen. Amazing. Short, and sweet. So, I'm going to do a little bit of introduction, and then we will get going with those gifts. So Hannah, please be ready, and everyone please be extremely excited, especially if you know you're one of the first 10. So are we all in our seats? Are we all ready? So I'm now going to get extremely formal on you. Okay. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Distinguished guests, honored homeowners, both present and aspiring, and of course, all protocols observed. We do have the privilege of hosting this remarkable array of individuals, but also we're blessed with members of the Ghana Real Estate Brokers Association, who play a vital role in facilitating property transactions and ensuring the smooth operation of the real estate market. We also have accomplished members and friends of our Ladies Entrepreneurship Club, whose innovative spirit and determination inspires us all to achieve greatness. We have professionals from the Lands Commission, whose expertise in land and administration and the registration brings stability and transparency to property ownership. We also have representatives joining us from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, who contribute to the growth and development of the real estate sector through strategic investment initiatives. And of course, we have esteemed guests from the Office of the Registrar of Companies, whose knowledge of corporate entities and legal frameworks will provide us with valuable insights for those who are navigating the business side of real estate. Is anyone here trying to navigate the business side of real estate? Please put your hands up. Are we all buying for personal? If it's the personal side, put your hands. Wave into the room. Oh, no one. So no one's doing it for business, and no one is doing it for personal. Yes, good. So we'll definitely have the Registrar of Companies here for you for that. Now, I do also want to extend my heartfelt appreciation To each and every one of you for gracing this summit with your own presence and expertise. Your contributions and insight in this event are just as valuable, and they will undoubtedly enrich our discussions and inspire all of us to new heights. As your host, or one of your hosts for the day, Eddie, please stand up. This is, I don't want to see you, my amazing co-host. I'm so excited to host with Eddie for the first time. So as hosts for the day, we do bear the responsibility of ensuring the smooth running of this summit, alongside Ebenezer, who has been really ensuring the smooth running. Thank you, Ebenezer. We'll be overseeing the program, moderating panel discussions, running question and answer sessions, and guiding us all through a day filled with knowledge, inspiration, and meaningful connections. It is our commitment to make this event productive, engaging, and enlightening for each and every one of you. But of course, we cannot do this alone. So today, what we're going to do is that we're going to start by having a little bit of a story time. And the story is supposed to encompass some of the speakers that we have. We're going to have a little story about Anansi. Does anyone remember Anansi? Yeah. Well, in this story, Anansi goes into property. So, once upon a time in a small village, nested in the heart of Ghana, Anansi the spider found himself yearning for a place he could call his own. With his clever mind and nimble legs, he embarked on a quest to acquire a home, a place where he could weave his intricate webs. Anansi's always. What's happening? I can go now. Yeah. Hello? Okay. There's definitely an Anansi story. Well, hello already. Right, so a place where he could weave his intricate webs and rest his 8 legs. Anansi sought the wisdom of the village elders, who shared tales of legalities and processes involved in property ownership. He learned about the importance of rightful ownership and the steps required to avoid potential disputes. Armed with this knowledge, Anansi set off on his adventure with determination in his heart. On his journey, Anansi encountered various challenges, each requiring him to use his wit and cunning. He came across a mischievous mongoose who claimed to own vast lands. Has anyone met a mongoose before? Anyone feel like you've met one, haven't you? Right? Claims to own vast lands, but Anansi saw through the deception. With a clever plan, he proved the mongoose wrong and secured a piece of land for himself. Next, Anansi sought the assistance of a wise owl, known for his knowledge of the local real estate market. The owl shared invaluable insights on finding the perfect home, considering factors such as location, amenities, and future growth prospects. Anansi realized that a well-informed choice would lead to a thankful investment. But Anansi knew that acquiring a home was not just about a physical structure. It's also about creating a haven that reflected his unique personality. So he sought the guidance of a talented architect, the Hornbill, who helped to design a beautiful abode that blended seamlessly with nature. As the word spread of Anansi's pursuit of home ownership, other creatures in the village became inspired. They too began exploring their options, guided by Anansi's example. Together, they formed a community where they shared knowledge, resources, and encouragement, and made the journey toward home ownership an inclusive and uplifting experience. In the end, Anansi's determination and resourcefulness paid off. He proudly settled into his new home, weaving intricate webs that showcased both his craftsmanship and the love he had poured into his abode. The village celebrated his success, inspired by his story of perseverance and the sense of pride that comes with home ownership. And so, Anansi's tale becomes a legend, passed down from generation to generation, reminding us of the transformative power of finding a place we can truly call home. It's taught us that with determination and wisdom and the support of a vibrant community, we can overcome challenges and create spaces where our dreams can flourish. Today's event holds immense significance as we come together to delve into the intricacies of real estate, home ownership, and investment. It is a platform where we will collectively explore and address the pressing issues, opportunities, and challenges in the real estate sector in Ghana and hopefully across Africa, as Hannah will talk about, I'm sure. Through our discussions, presentations, and exchanges, we do aim to strengthen our cooperation, foster mutual understanding, and find sustainable solutions for growth and development of the industry. So, as we continue here today, let Anansi's story be a source of inspiration and reflection. Now, I'm going to give you a quick overview of our agenda for those who haven't seen it. So, we will begin soon with the investor-friendly agent in the real estate investment market. That panel will be hosted by myself, and my members of the panel will be Jacob Ansel, and Eddie Eckhart will join as well as a representative from the Lands Commission. That will be followed by our second discussion, which will be moderated by Eddie Eckhart, on mastering property acquisition in Ghana, a guide to avoiding litigation. We'll have some lawyers on this particular panel. And then we'll continue on with our solo interview about financing investment properties in Ghana. And another solo by Matilda Osei from the Office of the Registrar of Companies about understanding the different kinds of corporate entities in Ghana. That will be followed by a third solo, Mr. George Ansel, on the 7 critical steps of real estate investment, again from this amazing book that we'll be giving away in just a moment, this book here. And then we'll be wrapping up with panel 3 on strategic marketing and sales of the investment property. So thank you once again to the Ghana Real Estate Brokers Association, our host and special guest, Mr. George Ansel, Ladies Entrepreneurship Club, and of course Ebenezer, for their unwavering dedication to fostering a thriving real estate sector and organizing this event in order to empower individuals. May our time together at this summit be transformative, enlightening, and empowering. Now let's begin with the gift giving. Hannah, thank you. Hannah, would you like to read out the names? Should I help you be an assistant and carry the books?
Thank you. All right, good morning once again. I made an announcement on CTV. We were being interviewed that day, I think that was on Sunday, that the first 10 people to arrive on time, I would purchase the books and give it to them. So these are the first 10 people who arrived this morning. Being a real estate agent, it's so key to make sure that you're on time. Time management is important. So I wanted to reward these individuals for being here on time. So, and after you receive your book, Mr. Ansong is going to personalize it. He's going to sign it for you during the coffee break, so make sure you see him to get it signed. All right, so the first person on my list is Ruben Tagore. Please come and get your book. Oh, come on, applaud him just because you were late, okay? Well done, well done. The next person is Senu. Congratulations, and thank you for being on time. Mr. Frank Ajekum. Thank you so much. Mr. Kojo Owusu Dako, where are you? Come and get your book. This is an incredible book. I was up reading it. You cannot put this book down, okay? It's got important keys in here, so make good use of it. Read it. Next person is Mr. Mohammed Abbas. Good to see you.
He came all the way from Tamale.
From Tamale. Let me, Mr. Mohammed, let me take a picture with you because I am impressed by this. Can we applaud him? He came from Tamale. Yes. Please stand in the middle. This is a man on time right here. Thank you so much for being on time. We appreciate it. Those of you around the corner, Medina, Adenta, East Legon, learn a few things from him. All right, Mr. Ashraf Jarud. All right, thank you so much. Mr. Charles Perry. Mr. Perry, congratulations. This should let you know we start on time, okay? Mr. Charles Bafu, thank you so much for coming on time. You know, I'd like to see some ladies coming on time, my goodness. You're gonna put your makeup in the car, ladies. Oh, wait a minute. Esther Well done, well done. And the last person, Mr. Michael Osei Amoa. Congratulations, congratulations. And I would like to take a picture with all 10 individuals who came on time, and I will frame it and put it in my boardroom as an example to real estate agents across the globe. Please come on up. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Please come up, everybody. Photographer, are you in position? This is moment to miss. And I think our lady deserves center stage, don't you? Yes, bring that splash of purple.
You should be displaying the book anyway.
Yeah, show us that book.
That's right. Thank
Very
you,
good,
thank
thank
you,
you.
thank you.
This was definitely another story. You know, the early bird catches the worm. These early birds caught the book. So, thank you very much, everyone. So, are we ready to get started with our first discussion?
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes.
Sorry, I just couldn't hear at the back. Is everyone ready?
Ready.
Good. Because we're going to have a panel discussion. We're going to be sat over at this table here. But the panel discussion will not work if everyone is not ready. Because we will need all of you to be asking your questions. This is not the kind of event where you sit quietly. We're not doing true and point. In fact, your questions are probably going to be the most important questions that come out of today. So please, the moment that you have one, just put your hand up. However, I do have a few questions that I will get started with, okay? So are you genuinely ready?
Yes.
Good. We need to put our panelists to the test. Right. So our first discussion today is about the investor-friendly agent in the real estate investment market. For this panel, I would like to invite up Jacob Anton. Jacob. Yes. President himself of Garib. Thank you, Jacob. Mr. Eddie Acker. Yes. And do we have our representative from the Lands Commission with us? Or will we get started? I think we'll get started. Right, so can everybody see everyone here? Yes? Okay, good. All right. So I guess my first question to you both is, what exactly is a real estate agent? And I'm not asking this out of naivety, but please put your hand up if at times you've come across real estate agents that don't quite seem like what you expected, what they're supposed to do. Put your hands up. Yeah, let's be honest. Let's be even you. Good. So can we please try to roughly define what exactly it is that we mean when we refer to a real estate agent before we go into the panel itself?
So basically, real estate agent or a broker, refers to a person who is an expert or a professional assisting a prospective client in purchasing, renting properties. Now the key word here is expert or professional, because in Ghana here we have a lot of people posing themselves as agents and brokers. So we are talking about the professionals who make sure investors and their client investments are protected, and also make sure the transactions goes on well. When it gets to involving the legal team, they know. They understand how to make inquiries about every property and are able to.
Qualities that you possess I've always said from day one that if you want to be a successful broker or agent, you have to have these three criteria. I always say that if you want to do something, then you must do it and do it well. So you must first invest in yourself. That's why I'm excited about the book today, because the learning never stops. There's so much more to learn in this market every day. I always say that our market is evolving, and so you should be hungry and thirsty to learn every blessed day. And finally, you should be somebody who has undergone a lot of professional training. And that's why it's good to be part of associations like Garrett, because every other quarter there are trainings that keep brokers or agents up to date with the market, and also give them the tools and equipment needed to be able to deliver for any clients that get in contact with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. So I think, thank you, yeah. So I think that it was just good precursor, right? But, my now new question is, what context do you come from to have these perspectives? So tell us a bit about your work. We can start with you, Jacob. Tell about your work, what you do. I know you work in surveying, but you're also the president of Garrett, right? So tell us a bit about both, and how those roles that you play have led you to feel like that is what a real estate agent is.
Great. So talking about real estate is very broad, to be very honest. So real estate has a lot of branches, and practicing land surveying or surveying is part of real estate. I'm also a builder, engineer by profession. Now, coming from this background, understand what real estate is, and also being part of this association, right from its formation, the leaders at the time, monitoring whatever was going on, taught me a lot of lessons. So now, being part of the executive, giving a lot of idea what the brokers are going through. I mean, those who wants to do the professional work, who wants to practice the brokerage in the professional way, what they are going through, and also what the actual problems are in the system. So it gives me understanding and know how to drive this association. So I have come to understand that, okay, so you need to have a lot of information about property. You need to understand your client. You need to inform them very well. So my paragraph give me that edge. So I've done a lot of mistakes in the past, and let me be very honest. And that mistakes has taught me, and it is shaping me. So I'm very glad that everybody that has been in this association who knows me, I don't handle all other deals just like that. I make sure I understand whatever I'm doing, and make sure I have details and more information about the exact properties. If I don't have any informed information, I just direct you to the right person. So that has guided me, and by now I can say I'm a very good person in the real estate sector.
Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, thank you. Feel free to clap. Yeah, this is all the kind of engagement we need, right? Thank you for that. And it is actually a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us. I know I keep saying you're the president, but it's always good to have a president in our midst. So Eddie, please tell us about your kind of background and relationship with property, whether it's in industry or personally, and how that's led you to those three things. And please repeat those three things. Does anyone remember what those three things Eddie said makes a good broker? What was it? Trust, honesty, integrity. I just really think that's, and I want to know how. I mean, it's very obvious to us to know that we need that, but I want to know how you came to that list.
Okay, so for me, my journey was quite different. I actually studied real estate, so BSc Real Estate in Keele University for 4 years, and then I did my master's in the UK, University of Reading, which was real estate and finance. So what happens is that when you're able to get a bit of the experience in the more advanced markets, some way, somehow, you'll have to learn these three things, because that's a very developed system where you can't cut corners, you can't do anything shady, you're going to operate with a license number. Everything you do can be tracked. Unlike here, where we are still working towards making sure the Real Estate Agency Act 2020 comes to play. So getting that experience in the UK really helped me, I would say, because from day one, they train you, they make sure you're ready for the market. So before you can get in touch with the client, you have all these boxes checked anyway. and everything you do, you report. So that's when we learned how to do emails, follow-ups, how to do things more professionally. I mean, in our market, you can meet an agent trying to close a deal without any, he's never sent an email before, he has no email address. You see some tenancy agreements and it's like 1 page, and I'm like, wow, what are the clauses? So that experience really helped. So my journey started a bit from the UK, and then I came back to Ghana, and then I started working in a brokerage company where I led a lot of commercial transactions for about 4 years, and then I moved on to work for myself. So working in a company before, working for myself also did help, because sometimes when you start in a company, you learn more about systems and how these things work. And more often than not in the market, most people wake up and become agents on their own. So they don't really get the training, they don't understand what the business really is. They're only interested in what's my commission. But the job and the process to earn that commission, they don't get it. So I feel like if you really want to do this and do it professionally, you must really be willing to first invest in yourself. I'm very big on that, because if you don't put value on the table for a client, somehow to me, you don't really earn the commission. People want to earn that 3%, that 5%, that 1 month's rent. But the process, the steps from day one, when a client sits with you, how do you put value on the table? How do you let them know you're knowledgeable, you know your market? And I will say that this job feels like a consultancy job, because it's like you go to a doctor and you say, I'm sick, and then he's going to ask you a few more questions to actually find out whether it's malaria, whether it's typhoid. So it's the same thing in real estate. Somebody comes, I beg your pardon, and he says, oh, I want a studio apartment to buy. My budget is $50,000. I want it in cantonments. If you are knowledgeable, first thing is you should be able to advise him accordingly and say, well, for that kind of market, studio apartments start from 100,000 USD, example. And so maybe if that's your budget, we should look towards areas like maybe West Legon, because you must put knowledge and value on the table. When the client feels like you've got the knowledge and you can advise them accordingly, guess what? You can earn that commission, because you can take them from day one to the end of the transaction and make the money you want to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so I'm just curious, is there anyone here who is an aspiring real estate agent? Anyone who actually wants to become an agent or a broker? Please, confidently put your hands up. Good. All right, so, I think that there's a good follow-up question for you, which is, Eddie, you're lucky, you did your undergrad at KNUST, you went to the UK, you inherited the accent, I hear it, I feel it, right? Got that experience, but what do people do when they're here? So I've been living here for the last 2 years, I live here now. If I decide I want to get into real estate as a broker, as does my friend at the back, what can we do now? And you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and be honest. I'm a professor in leadership and management. I'm not going back to school. I am the teacher, okay? So now I think I want to apprentice, so I want to learn more hands-on. Can you give advice, both of you, one by one, about real-world opportunities that we can take today to become really competent brokers and really competent agents? Because we're going to start talking about investment. But I think we can't get to investment if we cannot define what it is to be the broker in the first place. And do you understand what I mean? Yeah. Does anyone else feel the same? Yeah? Yeah. So please let us know about that. How does someone who wants to become an agent today start?
So let me start by reiterating from what Eddie said. A lot of people always focus on the commission. GAREP as an association is discouraging that. A lot goes into being an agent or a broker, and that is where your focus should be. So in the first place, you want to be in this business. Just understand what it is. Acquire the knowledge. Attend seminars like you have come. In fact, a lot of people here have Hannah as their mentor, including me. And Hannah once told me that she used a whole year attending seminars. So she is good today is for a reason. And you can be good as Hannah the same way. So don't just focus on what you want to earn. No, don't put pressure on yourself. If you are young and you want to be a broker, just understand the system. Avoid giving birth to so many children, so many girlfriends that put pressure on you. And that is the reason why a lot of people always focus on the money rather than doing the work. It is the work You do a good work, a good job, and the work and the money follows. You don't focus on the money and you expect everybody to be happy with you. No. So the advice is that GAREP as an association is here and is ready. Mr. Anso here from today is ready to partner GAREP so that a lot of seminars go on. We have a lot of trainings just to equip, especially the youth, and that is the focus. I'm telling you the truth. We want to do away with the quacks, and it is difficult as it is today. But when we equip the youth and they are coming in professionally, the quacks will fade away by themselves, and the youth will take over. That is how I think we can sanitize this sector. So don't focus on the money. Try to understand what you are doing. Get more knowledge, get mentors, and know the right thing to do. And start off a very good point. You'll be successful.
Thank you. So just to add on to this, I've also come to understand that real estate is a journey. Okay, so I say this at every seminar because a lot of people want to get rich quick, but this is not a get rich quick scheme. You don't make the money overnight, you make the money over time. So more often than not, the young people just want to meet the client today. Is he making payment at 12 o'clock? I mean, it doesn't work like that. Before somebody will actually make payment for a real estate transaction, they have to go through the process. Lawyers will come in, they would have to, go through the agreements. Lawyers do what they do best, they'll send it back with their red ink and do their corrections here, and they're making sure that everything falls in place before money exchanges hands. So you have to understand that it's a journey. And I say that because I don't know for anyone's journey, but for my journey, I had to do this for almost 3 years to be able to get my first breakthrough deal.
We have something we call setback. You'll be told you'll leave some space between your fence wall and where the project starts. The front, the back, the sides. And the reason has to do with maintenance, because it is anticipated that in future the project will be painted, renovation works will be done on the project. But you see, a lot of the individual developers don't do this. They just hire masons and it is done. And sometimes you will go to an apartment that is being rented out for dollars, and you can't even have the space between the main building and then the fence wall, which I think it is very bad. So I'm urging the upcoming developers, in fact, let us consider Ghanaians as well. Sometimes it pains me that a home minister will tell us that we have a deficit of about 2 million, but we have property that are being bought by developers, 13% of them lying vacant. It's sad, and people are there looking for properties or place to lay their heads. So let's segment. I mean, we are not discouraging the other concept. It is very important because we need investment. But let's consider these Ghanaians as well, so that going forward, we will not just put up a deficit. It will be there. You want money, you are not getting money. People want somewhere to sleep, they are not getting somewhere to sleep because their money does not meet what we want.
I mean, if anybody knows me, they know that I'm about to play devil's advocate, right? He's telling us to invest in Ghanaians. He's telling us to invest in affordable housing. But they're not telling us how we make money from affordable housing. Affordable housing is affordable for someone else. I'm not just trying to afford, right? And, I need to maintain my hair. These shoes aren't cheap. So my question is, how do we enter this more Ghanaian, less diasporan market? Less complicated buildings, easy to maintain. How do we enter this market and still make revenue? Is it a game of economies of scale? Do we also need to put up buildings that have lots of studio flats? What is the realistic average revenue that we can earn from that? And tell us that before we'll even consider it. Do you agree with me? Yes. Yeah, tell us this, please.
Okay, so very interesting. No pressure. I mean, we need to understand this right from the beginning that we want to do an investment. It is very important. You see, when COVID came in, we all saw what happened. The real estate sector went down. In fact, real estate was contributing about 14 to 17% to our GDP. After COVID, it even dropped to 10%. It is now picking up. Now, God forbid, should we find ourselves in this same situation again? What happens? So, it is true. Our minds are always fixated in what we get and the country we get. You understand? But I'm saying that let us be friendly to the market. Let us develop whatever you do. I mean, you plan from the onset, from the beginning, and you know that, okay, I have a 2 bedrooms, which is not that complicated. It is not a story building. Maintaining it is not difficult, but it can be rented out for about 1,500 Ghana cedis. Okay. How long can I make my profits? All those things can be calculated. The problem here is that we have not had that interest in the local markets because, like Eddie said, we know we can have a lot of money doing the foreign business, and that is the reason. So if we gain interest in investing in the local market or the affordable housing, of course, we have companies that have affordable housing, like Adam Group. They are doing affordable housing, and they are doing very well. One of their key men is in the US right now, touring and getting investors to expand their business. From Kaswa, now they are in Committee 25, selling a lot. So it depends on, the mindset and the value we place on whatever we want to do. If you are more Ghanaian and you want to help the Ghanaian, you always know how to go about it. And the advice is that talk to the professionals. They will help you in understanding right from the planning stage, and you know how to execute this project.
Thank you. Okay, Eddie, I want numbers. Right? My landlord takes dollars. How do we do this, like you described, like that company, and make it affordable? Do we do Kaswa? I mean, Kaswa is not that far. Everyone says everything is far from Kaswa. It's not far. I went to Kaswa the other day. It's not that far. Let's avoid the traffic. Where do we go? We can go to Tamale. We don't have a problem. I mean, if Tamale can come to us, we can also go to Tamale, right? The point is, what is the business model?
Dynamics first, to be able to do this affordable housing thing, because if cantonment was affordable to the average Ghanaian, everybody would like to live there, but that's not possible. So what's going to happen is that we have to look at areas that, number one, land is cheaper, because everything starts from the value of the land before you can put up the project. So there's a company called Sukasa who are doing what the Ghanaian market needs. They are tapping into locations like East Legon Hills, Oyarifa, amongst others. Then they are doing the project in line with clients who have decent jobs, maybe earning anything between maybe 3,000 to 10,000 cedis. I'm giving you numbers now. And then what they are doing is that they are making sure that all these lands they are getting have title, so that you can then buy through mortgage. Because if the house is 60,000 USD, that's about, let's just say, 700,000 cedis. Obviously, you might not have all that money, but you earn 6,000 cedis a month. You can pay it over 15 years when you do the computation. So for me, I believe that that's the kind of model we need in this market. And if you look at what they are doing, they don't do anything crazy. Very simple, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom houses. That I always say, when we do a viewing at their properties, I always say that the house does the job. It's got the kitchen, it's got the living room, it's got a nice dining, it's got the guest room. If it's got rooms upstairs, pretty much that. And that's what we need. So I always say to developers that yes, you can do Cantonment Labone Airport, it's exciting, but expand your territory into these areas so that you can have a fine balance, because not everybody in the diaspora also wants to invest in cantonments. Some of them, for their budget, it can be Ayi Mensa, it can be Oyarifa. And these are houses that you can get from, example, 60,000 USD, 70,000 USD for a 2 or 3 bedroom. And that's what that's what people can really afford. So let's look at those markets, and for those also involved in land transactions, let's try and work more with lawyers so that we don't run into a lot of court issues with land, because everything starts from the value of the land, and that affects the investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I've already been told that I need to stop, but I have one last question. Just one last question. So whilst Ebenezer is distracted, I'm going to ask it very quickly. You know, we're talking about selling cheap, but the price of cement is not cheap, right? The price of building is not cheap. So my question is, how do we then make it affordable for ourselves as the people going into these projects to be able to build? One thing, you mentioned Sukasa, and you're right, they do a great job. One thing I feel like Sukasa do very well is that they use OPM, other people's money, which a lot of the developers do, but Sukasa are doing a decent job. But, you know, as a real person, as someone with integrity, I can acknowledge that Sukasa is not finishing on time. Not of everything. So, and no one's perfect. So now, us as new developers, how do we enter this space? Build simply, something that can be well maintained, have our new lawyers' fees you've encouraged us to have, also now have our real estate agent fees on top, whilst the cost of building is expensive. What are the ways to approach this? Is this about a different approach to building? Is that what it is? Or a different approach to decor? Maybe we should use 4 colors of tiles on the wall. Like, how do we go about this? And then that's just the last question. How do we go about investing in properties that are accessible to the average Ghanaian while also ensuring that they're affordable for us to build and we don't make a loss while we're doing that?
Okay, so let's look at what makes buildings expensive. So right from Eddie said, the land, the value of the land is one. Now, the finishing materials, the imported materials, they are the main factor. So if you import materials from outside in dollars, of course, you come here, it's going to be expensive. So I think these are the main ingredient that is making properties expensive. Now, there have been discussion within the trader sector, the developers, about how to get this thing resolved. So, I mean, right from the onset, let's consider the land. Let's consider the type of building, the materials we are using, the finishing product. I said we can design to suit the diaspora, fine. Let's design to suit the Ghanaian. Okay, I have come up with my own designs, and I believe in the louvers because it doesn't add a lot of pressure or heat. You are free to open and the fresh air comes in. The sliding windows only beautify the building, but there's always a way of doing it. You can beautify your frontage, and as well, the bedroom should have the ventilation without using the air conditions. So I said, it depends on the mindset. It depends on what you want to do. Whatever you want to do, you will do. As for cost of materials, it affects everything. Inflation is going up. This bottle of water used to be sold less than 1 cedi. Now it is around 3 cedis. Here I think you are buying it about close to 10 cedis, isn't it? So that doesn't change anything. But the main problem has to do with the cost of land and the importation of materials.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Eddie, final word?
Well, final words for me will always be that I get excited about diaspora investments, but just like my brother said, I'm also very concerned about the average Ghanaian. So I feel like if you want to go into development, segment your development. Okay, you can focus on high end, but then that shouldn't be your only focus. Because I've seen a lot of companies that probably started from high end, and now they're trying to get into, lower markets. The reason is that that market also gets very saturated, and the demand for who lives in it is actually in the lower market, the lower to mid market. So if we're doing numbers, we know what the statistics are. What does the average Ghanaian earn? And for me, I think it's anything between 2,000 cedis to maybe as high as maybe 10,000 cedis max. Okay, so you look at that, then you break it down if they are going to do a mortgage. Now, mortgage rules are that you can't spend more than 40% of your monthly income on the mortgage. So when you do those numbers, you get to a realization that this is how much people can actually afford for a property where they'll rent. So we need to look at, it comes back to what you were saying, cost of construction. I have seen project breakdowns and by heart, Jesus Christ, you look at the cost of cement, iron rods, you're like, wow. So it's a case of, it's an ecosystem. It's not just, we have our part to play, but there are other factors that feed into it. So I feel like you said, the interest in building for the average Ghanaian has never really been there. It should be there, but it's not. So if we can have more of those conversations and then challenge developers to also go into those markets, I think that we'll be able to at least reduce the housing deficit. We will not solve it overnight. It will take a long time, but let's start from somewhere. And one more thing, just to add my voice, is that for some of these things to succeed, we have to look at infrastructure. I've always said from day one, Ghana needs proper working railway system. If we're all going to use that highway from Ayi Mensah all the way to Shashi every morning, we're not going anywhere. If there was a train from Ayi Mensah to Osu, I would happily live there because it's 20 minutes. You get the point. So let's look at the bigger picture and also see how all these things connect, because that affects real estate investment. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Oh, one last thing. This is lovely.
So if we are discussing affordable, then let us also understand that our appetite to be in that luxury apartment should also be looked at. Because you see, I have lived in a compound house, and I know people who never built, but lived in the compound house and were comfortable, went to pension. But these days, people are living in compound house. When they want to choose or build, they want to build very luxury. It doesn't also make sense. So let's consider all those things. And I think we shall all be good.
Thank you, gentlemen. How did you find that panel? It good? Did I ask enough questions? Were there any questions someone wanted to ask and didn't ask? You had one? Let's go for it. I'll take one. We have to be transparent. We have to have a community of practice. We have to talk to each other. And I think that piece of experience that you've had is very, very valuable to share. But I'm getting many hints from over there that we should stop this particular discussion. However, Hannah,
I want to make a comment. Thank you, VP. I appreciate it. He's giving me the side eye over there. Thank you so much for your comments. Just because it's a cash-based economy and people don't want loans. So it took a while, and I know that Ghana Home Loans, they did educational seminars every month. They called it Mortgage Clinic. So one thing you could possibly do is educational seminars on prefab and different types of building material and how they're sustainable. Educate the environment or the economy, and then I think people will then draw towards it. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you, VP.
thank you. So I hope you'll all forgive me because we have stepped about 5 minutes into our coffee break, but I think those 2 extra points, I think all the points that were discussed are very valid, right? So now that we're armed with our first pieces of valuable information, I think it's a good time to go and have some breakfast, some snacks, right? Coffee break. So there's a brown card like this. Do you have yours? Does anyone not have one? Yes, Ebenezer is.
If you are very conversant with real estate, and you that % of cases in court are land related, I don't think you want to, because some even 80, over 80% of those cases are land related. And if you some of the cases can go 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and those until you will actually win the land back. So it's a good time to invite our wonderful panelists to the panel table. Please, I need your applause for our lawyers who have joined us. We thank them so much for taking time off their busy day to join us. So please put your hands together for Sandra Tipe.
Thank you, sir.
Sandra, please take your seat. at the high table as we have some very fruitful discussions. Up next, please put your hands together. Let's make welcome lawyer Jude Edu Amakwa. He is our in-house Gareb lawyer. So if you do join Gareb, you benefit from working with an amazing lawyer like Jude. And the last but not the least, a very wonderful lawyer by our standards. Please put your hands together for Shaliwa Sewa Fritz. So I'm happy to be your moderator for this panel. I would grab my seat.
Inquiries. They do not even know the documentations that need to be put in place. For instance, someone sent me a sales and purchase agreement. It was a flimsy one-pager. I mean, the person's the purchaser's interest isn't covered. There were no obligations on the vendors. It was just very scantily drafted. Meanwhile, the person had paid a quarter of the monies to this real estate agency company that was selling the property. Then I would say do your research. Do your research as to, like I said previously, aspirants tend to acquire family land. And that you're buying from, or you're dealing with the principal members of the family, especially the head of the family. You need the consent of the head of the family. Otherwise, I mean, you're just going to waste your money. It's going to be void. And then ensure that ground rents, for instance, if it's state land, state-owned land you're buying, or family land you're buying, or school land, ensure that whoever is doing your due diligence for you has verified that the person you're buying from has paid ground rent up to date, so that you don't, because once you're acquiring property, you're acquiring the body and everything that comes with it. So if you do not have a clean slate or start with a clean slate, then you have bills to pay before you even start to enjoy the property that you have acquired. There's so much to talk about, but I mean, sorry, I know time will permit, so I yield the mic.
All right, thank you. Please put your hands together for our lawyers. Thank you, Shaliwa. Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Sandra. And so we allow for 2 questions. Just 2 questions because of time. So I'll take one in the front and one at the back. So where do we start from? Okay, so please introduce yourself and then the mic is yours.
Okay, yes, thank you. Good afternoon or good morning. My name is Natasha Osei Entry. I'm the CEO of Akuya Properties, and this panel is very enlightening. I did have a question for the gentleman here. I'm so sorry I didn't catch your name, but Jude, Mr. Jude, you stated in your introduction that you recommend when we're doing land transactions that we should go to the lands commission that's in that jurisdiction. Can you explain why? So we can go through any lands and commissions.
It also has to be within the jurisdiction.
Aha.
So,
So by buying,
when you are buying land and you're doing searches, with regards to lands commission, they're in regions. Sometimes you have to be very specific where you go. For example, if you're buying land in a lot of people tend to do searches in Accra, but it is part of the eastern region. So if you conduct the search over there, the results you are likely to get are going to be false. However, some people make a mistake because when you are getting building permits and other things, sometimes it overlaps with the district assembly, so that it might fall under the maybe Adenta, Medina district assembly. However, when you are dealing with lands commissions in the eastern region, so you have to be specific where you are in the search to know that you are getting the actual results. But what I mentioned, the main thing I mentioned was the conduct the search at the registry of the courts within that jurisdiction. Because if you are buying land in Accra, there's no way a search in Cape Coast at the Cape Coast High Court will give you proper results with regards to who has actual ownership or whether there's even litigation over it. Because it is not likely that anybody is going to go and fight over Accra land in Cape Coast.
thank you very much. That was interesting.
Thank you. Round of applause for her. Final question will come from the back. Okay, so very quickly.
Thank you very much. I am Etienne Nati, Land Secretariat Administrator for Pram Pram, awaiting launching, hopefully, August 15th. Farm lands are family lands. I think the lawyers rightly explained. But in a case where there is a litigation and one side is killed legally, if that person fails to appear, I think judgment will be passed on the one that continually comes to court. If years, say 20 or 30 years, the other one who might be the rightful owner but passed out, the generation finds out and then takes it up again. Yet you have acquired the property and you have enjoyed it for 20 years. Legally, what is in it for you to be able to maintain your property? Thank you.
Thank you.
You see, I'll give it to her. She was talking about adverse possession, but before we even get to that, you acquired the property. At the point it was for someone, but you didn't know because the person had passed. What due diligence did you do? Can you show that you conducted all the necessary searches and everything to show that there was that whoever you were buying it from was the actual owner? So that you bought something from a party you knew was not the owner because there was nobody else claiming it. That might cost you.
Okay, so if the person passes and then you have been on the land for maybe 12 years or 10 years for abandoning, maybe the land has been abandoned for 10 years and you have been in possession for over 10 years, you can have a right, you have an interest to protect. And if you have been on the land for 12 years, now, statute of limitation, you become an adverse possessor. That is, you were there, no one has come to claim, and you are now the new owner. So yes, it is possible for you to have an interest, and you can protect that interest from everyone.
Okay, thank you so much. Please put your hands together for our panelists. We appreciate your time. Thank you to June, thank you Sandra, thank you Shaliwa. I know you have further questions, but because of time we have to wrap up here. So please note down your questions. We have a Q&A session later in the day, and then we can address all other questions. Thank you once again. Please, you may resume your seats, and the event continues. I hand over to my host.
The different kinds of corporate entities in Ghana, and that's with the registrar's office. We're going to do both anyway. The question is, which would you like first? Solo, registrar's office. Yes. If you would like that, say. If you like the other one, say. So, solo? Yes. You didn't follow the rules, guys. You must say. Solo? Yes. Finance? And I must say, I'm excited. I'm actually glad we went with the rules. There you go. Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My boss should have been here. Anything that is interest to the nation, she's also interested, but because of other assignments, she couldn't make it, so she asked me to represent her. She's in the person of Mrs. Jemima Owari. And anybody who knows much about companies know that she's always there for everybody. So we are here to learn a little, add to what we already know, thinking we are doing it right, and then the way forward. So as she said, my name is Mrs. Matilda Osei. So for some time now, people know us to be the registrar. And I want to bring to your notice that since 22nd July 2002, the Office of the Registrar of Companies is hived off from the Registrar General. So anything concerning registration of companies, businesses, it's closing up, restructuring, what we used to call liquidation, and all that is now under companies. The Registrar General is still there. We are all in the same building, apart from the intellectual property that is close to the GBA office. We are still at the same place close to Tema Station. So the Registrar General is still there to handle marriages. Anybody who wants to marry under the ordinance can still go to the Registrar General office to do marriage registration. Anybody who wants to do the registration of their trademark logo, like Awake is somebody's logo, the bottle design, we protect all. Cloth designs, all is done at the Registrar General, but sometimes people don't know. If you have a good design, you can protect it. Baskets, other small things, that ideas that people have in terms of clothing, uniforms, you can protect them all. Even uniforms, if you're a group and you have uniform, you can protect it under Registrar General. Pension gratuities, those who work under public service, if you lose a loved one, the pension gratuity is also paid through Registrar General. They are still doing it. If you also want Registrar General to handle your will, executors of your will, they are also there to assist. So basically, and then as I said, the marriages, especially the special license, some people, because of maybe deformity, sickness, something, and the agency, they can't wait for the 21 days as it has to be done at AMA. So they need a special license, and the Registrar General is still there so that the marriage can be done at the comfort of your home if you don't want to celebrate it at a public place. So basically, Registrar General is still there, but as I said, the office of the Registrar of Companies is also different from the Registrar General. That was the intention of Professor Dawa. He wanted the office of the Registrar of Companies to be separated. So when we talk of Registrar General, I want you to know, if you don't go with anything, know that now it's different from the office of the Registrar of Companies. So now the office of the Registrar of Companies have its own board, 11-member board, separate. We have people from Ghana Bar Association, Ministry of Trade, Chartered Accountant, representative from all these places, and then the Registrar General and the board secretary. So we have our own seal. You can enter into contract, be sealed and all that. So now that is also the law allow us. And then we also now we'll be doing our own publication. We have the right to do that. So the companies, those who have existing businesses, those who are yet to register, we can publish the names as is being done at Assembly Press. I hope most of you know Assembly Press, where we do the publication. So now that we have that power to do that soon, if you don't file your returns, if you don't renew, we'll be publishing the names. People get scared when we do the announcement that we are stacking the name. You see people asking us, even law firms and all that, our company is still in your system. We shouldn't wait. Ghanaians, we'll sit down, and then when there's an announcement, my office always choke. I think last month it was bad. Because they know that we are going to strike them from the system and nobody will do business. You know Ghana, once they publish your name, you are in trouble. We shouldn't wait till that. You just have to file your returns. I'll get there. This is just the highlight. So now, the Office of the Registrar of Companies. I think you've seen our logo. This is the logo. I think when I came, they've done it for you. Wow. The Registrar General one is the coat of arms. These are some of the indications that when we get the office. So this logo is specially for the Office of the Registrar of Companies. So if you see this logo is right, it's not something that is illegal. So that is it. And we have our own vision. And this vision, it is my prayer that we are adhered to now that we are separate. Our vision states as follows: to be a world-class, customer-oriented, innovative registry for businesses and for socio-economic growth in Ghana. So that is our vision. We want to be seen. When you talk of registration, when we come, it's not the one that will be delaying you. Go, come tomorrow, this system. No. We are changing because we're soon going to have our office around Legon. I mean, we've seen our deficiencies, and because we are bringing in new people to help us with our system and everything, things are going to be changed because we'll soon be going to the cloud. We'll be doing things the way we are doing them. And then our mission, formerly we used to say what was for the Registrar General, but now we have our own. And I think I should also let you know. And our mission is to create an attractive business environment by providing quality registration services for businesses in society to promote economic growth and development. So, as I said, we are located close to Tema Station. We haven't moved. I think by 2.5 years to 3 years, we'll be around the golf house. There's a plot there, about 3-acre plot. The University of Ghana has given it to us. So we'll move there. Now, as I said, we are there for registration. The life of a company is like the life of a human being. We'll help you give birth to the baby. As the baby is growing, you get corporate governance, people assisting you to take care of the baby. So either the baby died naturally or we help you to kill the baby. That is the restructuring and insolvency one. So once we don't want that to happen. We want companies to live long. Sometimes, I'm not too old, but I knew there were a few straight road contractors and all that. All those companies, they are not there again. It's sad. So now the do's and don'ts of registration. I'm sure as you are here, you want to gain recognition. So you need to register your business. Those who haven't registered, those who have registered to, as I go along, I'll let you know. The do's and don'ts. Some people come and they are like, oh, the registration is keeping long because of the name. Somebody come, as soon as they enter, I'm registering Adom Enterprise. At this time, you are doing Adom. How can you come with such a name? When you tell them, they say, no. And for the churches, sometimes it's terrible. They will tell you that as it was revealed to me by God. Meanwhile, the name is there. They will allow you. Oh, it's terrible. They let us suffer. But that's why we are there, you know. So with regards to the section 21 of the Companies Act allows us to reject names if the names are misleading, they are undesirable. So if you are coming, come with about 3 names on a scale of preference. So that when you come and we say, oh, this name is not there, then you go to the next one. Sometimes they will come with, let's say, Adom Enterprise. And then when you say Adom is there, then they say Adoma. Then they just add it, and then they just say Adumi. So they are just, we don't want that. When you are coming, come with unique names. So if we tell you that Adoma is not there, then maybe you are coming with, maybe, you can even do fancy Adoma. I don't discourage people from their names. I let you add on, but it should be unique. It should be. I didn't talk much about patents and those things, like those are the features. If something is of novelty, it's nice. I mean, you market yourself in a nice way. So with the name, and then we don't also want vulgar words. I can't say some of the things. Some years ago, somebody came, the person was coming to register a company. I think he's selling condoms and the rest. And the name he wanted to give to the business name, I mean, it's a disgrace to womanhood. So I'm like, you can't, that's where you came from. So why do you want to use such a name? You know, so we don't allow such names, and then the names doesn't also have to be misleading. Some people come with the name, they want to start it with Ghana. No, Ghana is for all of us. So we let you add Ghana if it's a limited liability at the end. People have deceived people with the word Ghana. As soon as Ghana starts, we think it belongs to the nation. So names, we are now strict on names. In those days, we're doing it manual, so some people were able to save through. And the names of towns, we don't let sole proprietorship like Accra. You cannot have Accra food bar. Accra is for all of us, even the gas, including those of us who are not gas. But people were using it. Those days, I mean, they registered, they gained recognition, so we can't change them. But now, we won't let you use the name of a town or somebody. If it's a limited liability, we can let you use Accra at the getting to the end of it. And then if it's sole proprietorship, we don't want you to use the name international and global. Yes, you will say that, oh, it's not under the law. But if you are going global, you go big. So we don't allow sole proprietorship to use global and international. And then also with limited liability companies, you can reserve the names. The law allows us to reserve the name if you are not ready. Sometimes you have partners, they are not ready, but you want to reserve the name. Absa Bank, before they turn into Absa, they reserved the name 3 times. They reserved the name from Buckets. They were not ready, they were still putting up scratches, even though the company was in existence before they changed it to Absa. I even did the letters for them to change the name to Absa. So you can reserve the name. And then this one thing that we need to also know about name. I'm doing this name because that's where we start the registration form. Names, we use sound and words. It's important and very cogent. Sometimes people come and say, Coco. You know, one can be K-O-K-O. And others do C-O-C-O. So if I have Coco Bakery Services, mine is C-O. And then you also come, Coco, K-O-K-O, Bakery. Won't allow you. And that one too, sometimes they get angry. Photo, F and P. And then X and E. Express. So they will leave the E and then they will say X. And then they crucify the English language. Sometimes, I mean, the words are supposed to be like that, but they will crucify it. And then they say that's their company names. And then some also want to add small letters to the name for us to issue the certificate. Sometimes it's also a problem for us because we want everything to be legible. We have the right to reject the forms if it's not up to standard. So some of these things, please try and then avoid them. So this is on the name, which is very, very, very important. And then the objectives. So now we know how to choose our names. If you have to choose or you have to change, now you know what to do. Let me say something too. Some people have their names of businesses. As soon as you see the name, you know what they do. So I'm Matilda. So like, let's say Tilly Fashion. And then under Tilly Fashion, by the time you realize, I say I'm selling drugs. Does it match? No. So these are some of the things. Your business name, you said that you're operating a provision shop. Now provision, you're doing construction. So please, the object and name, if it's not generic, we the Ashantis and the poor, we like the Adra menu, like Matador said enterprise, so that I can do a lot of things. Because it's more generic, so I can do a little construction, jack of all trade, master of none. But if you limit yourself, then you can't. And then your object should match what you are doing. So as I've said, if you said it's something construction, and then we see that you are doing salon under the construction, it doesn't gel. So we should take note of that when we are selecting our objects. And then some objects are meant for some businesses. You cannot come and do forest bureau without an authorization from Bank of Ghana. Some of the entities require specialized license from other agencies. Example, now we don't have certificate to commence anymore. So if there are bankers here, sometimes they worry them, go and collect certificates to commence because it has been abolished by the Act 992. We've crucified, it's not resurrecting again. Professor Ban said it's not coming live again. So don't ask people, when you're going somewhere and they ask you commencement, please tell them it's been abolished. They don't need commencement certificate. But those days when it was invoked, we will legalize you, give you the certificate of incorporation, and then you go and apply for the license. If it's bank, you bring the license, then we'll give you the certificate to commence business. So in a way, it was also good, but the gurus of law have, abolished it, so I can't say much about it, but it doesn't exist. We don't have anything for certificate to commence business anymore. So there are other specialized agencies like, if you want to be a public company, you have to go to Securities and Exchange Commission. Because for you to be a public company, you don't just have to make the company a company without adding public to it. So now, when you look at our section 21, we have something called the surfaces. Because of this number one issues and DKM and all that, when you register now, the ending should reflect what you do. So if it's a public company, it should be added to the name. Now, if it's a limited by guarantee, like the churches and all that, now you have to add the LBG. It's a little close to the other name. So some don't want it. If you don't want it, then you bring it in full, limited liability company. So that when we see, we know that you are not profit-making organization. Even if you are sustaining, if you are getting something, it's just to sustain the business. But your aim is not to make profit. And then if you are not a public company, you cannot make invitation to the public. So I'm telling you this, so that when you are dealing with companies, look at their company name, the ending. Is it a public company? They make invitation and then I go and buy bonds, I go and buy shares. That is why MTN was not a public company, but because they wanted to flow shares, they turn it. And then Securities and Exchange Commission is the authority for that. You go there, you show them how you are going to do the funding, you show them your prospectus, and then before you come to us, you should have gotten your prospectus and everything in place before we turn your company into a public company for you to do all those things that public companies do. And with the Act 992, if you are 18 years, you can form a company. Formerly, you couldn't do any business with anybody. Yeah, so if somebody is 18 years, as the Constitution allows us, if you are 18, your child is 18, very innovative. Sometimes our children, if they are in the university, they want to do something. If they are 18, they can. Formerly, they couldn't have done it unless you were 21. Even though the Constitution says 18, when it comes to companies transacting business, it was not allowed. Now, those who are a little old
or the lawyers here, we used to call the document when you register, we used to call them regulations. Now we call it constitution. It's not regulation again. So we've told all companies to come and change their company name to either make it LTD or limited company. Formerly it was company limited, but now the law says limited company or LTD, the ending. So even if yours was LIMITED, you have to come and do it LTD. So with us. So that is what the law says. And then you also need to register the new constitution, whether registered or unregistered. Some people come with their constitution because they want their thing in a certain way as to guide the directors and all that. So they design their own constitution. So when you do it like that, you bring it to us, we scan it in our system, then we reproduce it for you. You cannot do your own constitution and keep it. It will not be recognized in our system. And you would also have the watermark, the certified true copy running to it. So if you're a lawyer and you do it for somebody, you're a lawyer and you do that for somebody, you have to bring it to our office so that we produce and then you see the certified true copy. And then one other thing that I also want you to know is the rotation of auditors. Now you cannot use an auditor for more than 6 years. Barclays Bank used their auditors for 100 years. As a result of that, we're having issues, they get familiar with one auditing firm and all that. So now by law, you need to change your auditors. We call it cooling off. So after 6 years, you need to do that. And then those who also buy shares and other things, if you don't claim the dividend, after 7 years, it will come back to us, and then half will go to the consolidated account, and then half will come to us. So if you have dividend, or somebody have it, sometimes they die and they don't know that they have to claim that. And then now the qualification of directors. We have a new form called statutory declaration. Now it was not part of the Act 179. This Act 992, you have to give us statutory declaration. You have to fill it, so that whatever information you are giving us, we know that that is the truth and nothing else, and it's like affidavit. So if you are lying, one day you face the consequences. And then also company secretaries. It's not any Tom, Dick and Harry who can be a company secretary. It can be a lawyer, a chartered accountant, a company trainee. Some people, by the depth of their work, they've studied company law. So section 211 of the Companies Act shows the duty. If you're a company secretary, you need to report to the board any changes. You need to let the board know and all that. So it's not anybody who can just be a company secretary. And I think basically I've talked about the cooling off. Because of time, I just picked the salient things. And then also there's something now we call beneficial ownership. I know some of you have heard it, BO. So BO is there, it has to be a natural person. By law, artificial person cannot be a BO. BO, we do BO to know the people who are actually behind companies. So if you are dealing, sometimes a company is registered, you are here managing it, but you take instruction from America. Every morning, somebody has to tell you what you should do. Your interest is not much. So there are some companies that we ask them, they fill out that forms and they say BO. So when you come to our office, it's mandatory that you file your BO. And then wrapping up, we need to file our annual returns. If it's sole proprietorship, a year is 60 cedis. Try and renew it every year. If it's a limited liability company, it's 100 cedis. And then you need to add the auditor's report. That's why when you're registering companies, we tell you that come with external auditors to replace that. And then basically, and any changes that you do, you have 21 days to let us know that you've done changes and all that. And then also, one little thing is that those who normally go for mortgages, we create the charge if you use the company asset. So you come to us, we create the charge. The bankers quickly will create the charge for you because of your mocha. But when you finish paying, they don't discharge you. Please, if your company go for loan, make sure that when you are discharged, there's a form in my office called Form 10. Make sure whether partially or fully, make sure that you are discharged. As they created the charge for you and send the instrument, they should also do that. One form of registration that I would like to share is for the professionals. It's called partnership. With that one, when you do the partnership agreement, you need to execute it at Land Valuation Board and then you file it with. So we have the sole proprietorship for one person to register. We have partnership 2 to 20 people with the partnership agreement. We have the registration of entities, NGOs, churches, and other non-profitable organizations. We have the limited liability by shares, where the aim is to make profit. We have a company registration by name, external company. These are companies that are registered in other jurisdictions, but they want to have a liaison office in Ghana. So that one, we demand the registration document, and then you give a power of attorney to the local manager. If the registration document is not in English, it has been translated into English. So if you get a partner who said that, oh, most airlines are external companies, they don't want to change their uniform, their colors. You see them everywhere, Emirates, everywhere, it's everywhere. Most of such companies are external companies. So these are the various types that we have. And then because now we can do our own publication, you have to make sure if you are changing it, if you have two directors in a company and you are changing it, you have to replace it with the other one. If you've not filed your annual returns, please, you have to also do that. It's mandatory. I think basically for non-compliance, we are going to set up a portion of our office as to do that. And then let me say something small to wrap up with liquidation and insolvency. Now it's not regulated by Old Act 180. So it's regulated by the Act 1015. So now they help you to restructure, to do the administrative work, and then we can also do cross-border claim. Like a company have property in Abidjan, this new law allow us to also go there and then claim your property for you. So you can register online or you can walk in house. We have a machine, the ticketing machine, and then you go through the process. If it's online, then you make sure that you're a portal account user, and then you can register it online. So I think basically the way forward is that we want to be a better institution soon. You'll see it. I don't want to say it because we also have little flaws, but we are putting things in place, and then make sure that documents are filled and signed by yourself. Even if somebody does it for you, please scrutinize it and make sure that that's the right, because we scan the document and some of the people come and down. Meanwhile, you got to do the thing at GRA and there was a mistake and you didn't solve it. 10 P000, somebody will put 2 zeros, and as soon as we change the number, it will pull out somebody's data. And somebody, yes, because the TIN is a unique identifier. So if you make a mistake on your TIN, we don't keep the biodata. We put in your TIN and the information pop up. I had to assist some Chinese to register last Thursday. So when the document came, it came as Ghanaians. So the guy sent me the document that they are Chinese, and I'm like, how did you do your TIN? Is it because you are dodging tax, you went to put the Ghanaian, or somebody frontiered it for you? So now it's hot. But that's not our fault. So please, let's scrutinize the registration forms. Let's give it to the experts if you cannot understand it, or a guidance your children can help you. So I think basically these are a few things that I think you should do.
Wow. Hands in the air, hands in the air. I mean, I feel like I have a new co-host, Matilda. I feel like I like your energy. So I will be your assistant and I'll go get the questions for you. Ebenezer, stop looking at me like that. Ebenezer gave her 3 minutes, 5 minutes ago, and I'm just not helping either. I didn't even stop you. I'm sorry. I was enjoying myself. Okay, let's start with Alex.
Hi, good afternoon. Alexander, Unicorn. I would like to know the prefix for the type of business, agents, into property. We are talking about the prefix or the addition you have to add to your name to make it easier, or limited liability of enterprise. Which one would you advise? Yes, if it is property development or selling of building materials.
So basically, depend on the number of people putting up the company together. If you are doing it with your wife, then it cannot be a sole proprietorship. So you can do the partnership or you can do the limited liability company, and then you add the ending for the LTD. If it's a sole proprietorship and you are into dealer in, let's say, dealer in building materials, paint and all that, it can be a sole proprietorship, like one person. So the number will determine the mode of registration. I hope you understand. So if it's a construction company or building real estate, it can be a limited liability if you are doing it 2 to 50 people. It can be a sole proprietorship if you are the only one. So that is the parameters.
Thank you. Kojo?
Thank you very much. My question is about directorship. How many people we need for limited liability?
Charles?
Thank you. My question is, in terms of filing the annual returns, is it on calendar basis or on fiscal basis?
So with the annual returns, it depends on when you registered it. When you start registering, it's after the first 18 months. The law says first 18 months, you should file your AGM. So after the first 18 months, when you file, then subsequently you use the calendar. So everybody calendar year is different. But most people, they do it because sometimes there's a lacuna. We don't really bother after the 18 months. The way it falls, they extend it to the end of the year. So if you go by that, the 31st December, then it means you are going to follow it 31st December. Some is around June. But most people, I realize they prefer so that they know what they've done for the whole year. So that's why most companies go the 31st. So after the 18 months, let's say it falls in March or April, somebody will just wait and then do it around December because it's in the same year so that they can follow the December trend. That is why people like the December, and then they also know what they've done from January to December.
Thank you. And another question is, I have a sole proprietorship, and I'm trying to ask like a renter, into when I was registering, I didn't put like a renter. So from what you're saying, do I have to go back and file another company or another sole proprietorship, or I can come back and put like my objectives into the one that I already registered?
What do you want to add to the one that you already have? What object do you want to add?
Like rentals.
Rentals. Oh, you can amend it. What is the name of your business, your entity?
It's JBEC 66 Ventures.
Okay, so JBEC
66 Ventures.
66 Ventures. So you can add rental services to it.
By coming to your office?
Yes, by coming to, yes, and amend it. So you file from D. There's a form called from D.
Okay.
You just file it and then we amend it and we add it for you. So you get a profile, a new profile. Okay. One thing, let me say, when people do changes, the original document will not change. For record's sake, there was this case, I think Monko and Kuma and then Sophia stated that original document will not change. So when you change something, the profile will change. But your original Form A will never change.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn? Was there anyone else that had questions? I think this will be the last one?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Osara Osalim. I'm Nigerian. Please, my question is this. As a Nigerian, you have a company in Nigeria, for instance, and you want to upload the company here in Ghana. Please, can you kindly tell me the procedures about this? Thank you very much.
I didn't go there because of the constraint of time. If you are Nigerian, whether you are ECOWAS, you have to meet the $1 million, depending if you are doing trading. So as a foreigner, you get the same forms. Our registration forms is the same. But your nationality will determine the equity. So GIPC, that one we use the section 27 to 29 of the GIPC Act. That says that foreigners cannot do retail. You see most Nigerians selling the chargers and all that in wheelbarrow, and they are just all over the place, but ideally if you're a foreigner, because we don't want you to come and compete with us, even though we are all ECOWAS people, until the laws are changed. If you are doing trade, you need $1 million, and it's 1%. It used to be 0.5%. From January 2nd January, we increased it to 1%. And if you are doing services without a Ghanaian, it's $500,000. You don't show that amount to us. You pay the stamp duty on it to us. And then if you are doing services with a Ghanaian, $200,000. Your equity is the $200,000, representing 90% of the equity. And from there, you have to proceed to GIPC. And with GIPC, they would like to see the amount. With us, if you bring goods, some people, it's not everybody who bring the fiscal cash. So it can be in kind. You file the form called Form 6. So if it's goods and you brought goods from Nigeria or China, you can use it to clear part of the equity.
Actually, I'm specific about real estate.
Real is services. So are you doing the services with a Ghanaian, or you are doing it with non-Nigerian, some residents in Ghana? And you want to have some here? And I want to know, are you doing it with a Ghanaian, or you are doing it with Nigerians?
I'm just test the environment to see how.
To see. Oh, okay. So
it's kind of perspective.
yes. So So you know there are some Nigerians who are resident here. So you can do it with them. Because you're a foreigner, in the first place, you cannot do sole proprietorship. So it has to be a limited liability company. So you need somebody to partner you. And then at any moment in time, one director should be resident in Ghana. That's what the law says.
Wow. Thank you. We have learned a lot. Thank you, Matilda. That was amazing. I shall be joining you for more of your comedy. I laughed today. Right, I think we're moving steadily on to the next panel, which was the finance panel that we voted to have second. So Eddie, can I hand over to you to introduce yourself, your panelists, and your topics?
Get your notebooks out and let's talk about financing investment properties in Ghana. What you need to know. This is a very important panel. So it falls on my shoulder to introduce Mr. Ernest Kwashi to join us here from the Lands Commission. He also studied land economy, so I can tell you for a fact he's very knowledgeable and he's the best man for this panel. So please welcome him as we dive straight to business. And I'm happy to be your moderator for this panel. Oh, sit closer to me so that I can get a bit of more of your knowledge. All right, so thank you so much for making the time to join us. And before we begin, we would like that you introduce yourself, let us know what you do, and then we can go straight to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ernest Isaac Kwashi. I'm the MD for Emirates Estates Limited. I'm a financial analyst and I'm also an estate developer. We operate mainly around the East Legon Hills area. And we've been doing this since 2011. So we've been around for some time now. Thank you.
That's about 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we have, like I said, the best man for this panel. So we'll go straight into it. Ernest, so there's a very popular saying that do not wait to buy property, rather buy and wait. Most of you might have heard it, but there are some bits and pieces you need to know before this statement can actually make sense to you. So we'll use that statement to dive into how can somebody finance property in today's market.
All right, thank you. Do not wait to buy property. I actually subscribe to that. I mean, it's a good statement. What it is that there's always some premise to that statement, and the premise is that you probably have the funds available, you are ready to buy the property, and you have an opportunity to buy that property. But somehow maybe you went to the location and you realize that the place is not well developed enough, so you want to defer your purchases. You know, when it happens that way, it's not the best thing. It is always better for you to buy and allow the area to develop. Because one thing is, assuming the time we went in, there was no access road, very good road to the place. The utilities were not there, lights, water and all that were not there. It is actually the right time for you to buy. Because when these things come in, it is going to inflate the price. And whoever is selling the property to you may not necessarily bring those things in it, but then he's going to put the price on it. It's going to increase the price because now there is access road, good access road. It's going to increase the price because there's lights and there's water. He didn't bring those things there, you know. So yeah, it is good for you to buy away. I have an experience, you know, those days when East Legon Hills started. I quite remember there was this gentleman who came, he wanted to buy land. He didn't know the area. So I was leading him, he was driving behind me. So those of you who know that area, you go to Nanakrum, and then there is a bridge, you go across. At that time, they hadn't done that bridge. I had gone past the bridge, and before I could see, the guy had turned around. I saw him from my, the road Namura. I saw the guy had turned around, and he was gone. And he turned off his phone, so I couldn't reach him. So, and I could tell that this guy is going like, look, you are sending me to the middle of nowhere. Because at the time, the whole place was bushy. You know, it was just a virgin land that had been converted into, those of you know the East Legon Hills area. You know, so he left. But somehow the guy came back later. He came back, he didn't come to me. He bought from somebody who bought from me. And you can imagine he bought at a higher price. And he came through an agent, so now he's paying the commission as well. You know, so I mean, if he had bought at that time, he probably would have been better off. I had another friend, in fact, she used to be at EcoBank. I think she had secured some funding and wanted to go into, buy some properties. So at the time he came in, she wanted one plot. This is around 2013, I think. She wanted to buy one plot. So when she came, she saw the area. It was still green, quite virgin. But somehow and one thing is that the price of properties keep on increasing on a daily basis. It keep on increasing. So sometimes you probably have seen a property which was selling for 100,000 Ghana cedis. Now you went and say, okay, maybe within 1 year I'll be able to raise the required amounts to come in. By the time you come in, that property is selling like 150,000. So your 100,000 can't even do the trick. And one other thing is that by the time you even get the money, that property may not even be available. But the property is not there waiting for you. So yes, you can save, you can get the right amount of money over time to buy the property. It really doesn't work. But a lot of people do that, Another way you could finance a property is what we call self-financing. Now that one is an arrangement between yourself, just get a developer and let a developer know that, look, I want to buy this property, but you need to give me a structure. So maybe he will tell you, pay 30% in construction of the units for you. When I get to roofing percent, and maybe when you can attest to the fact we do that a lot. That is called self-financing. So if it is 2 years self-financing period, you go ahead and then you do it. There are times when we also allow, that is for us, Emirates Estate, because we sell land and we also build and sell and we sell building materials for our customers most of the time. If you realize that your funding doesn't come in big, maybe every month you can raise 2,000, 5,000. What we do is that we allow them to send those amounts to us. So when you send 2,000 to us, you send 3,000 to us, we look at what can that do. Maybe that 2,000 or 3,000 can get 1 trip of stone. That will dump it on your land. The next time you get 3,000, maybe that can get 1 trip of sand. Dump that on. Then another 3,000 can get you 30 bags of cement. We allocate that. Then another 5,000, this can take care of your neighbor. So now that we have something that will take care of your neighbor, we get onto the land, we do the excavation, we work up to the point where your money can get to. And then we hold on and we go through that cycle. We've had a lot of people going through that thing, and when you come to our area, there are a lot of young guys, we have buildings, and this is how they went through. Because trust me, saving money to construct is not an easy thing. Now there is mortgage, which is actually supposed to be the first port of call anytime we are buying or we are thinking of buying properties. But unfortunately in Ghana it has become more like the last resort. Mortgage is supposed to be one of the big areas that we needed to have taken advantage of anytime we are doing properties. Because what mortgage does is that given your income level, you may be able to have access to the building immediately. So I don't have enough, I haven't been able to save enough to acquire the property. The timelines for getting the right amount to buy the property is also going to be so long. So what comes in handy, what you do is you go to the mortgage company, I probably will be talking a bit about them. You go to the mortgage company, you show them your income, and they're able to tell you that, look, given this level of income, you are entitled to 100,000 Ghana cedis, 200,000 Ghana cedis, 300,000, 500,000 Ghana cedis. So with that in mind, you go shopping for properties within that particular price range. So if I qualify for 500,000 Ghana cedis, then and I go look out for property that is valued at 500,000. Once I find one, I come to the mortgage company, they will pay off the vendor, and I have access to my building. And I'm going to be giving between 5 years to as long as 20 years to make these payments. The challenge has always been with the interest rate and the charges and all that. But a lot of the time, mortgage is actually supposed to come in handy and should be able to help you to acquire property. Maybe the last one I'll talk about in relation to financing, which also we don't do much in Ghana, is partnership and joint ventureship. You see, somehow Ghanaians, we don't trust each other. And the reason why we don't trust each other is because we are scared to go to the lawyers. Because the lawyers are going to draft something and they are going to be putting values and fees and all that to us, you know. But I think that we've gotten to the point where we need to begin to trust each other and use the services of the legal guys, you know, because sometimes you may have an area, a lot of people now want to be in East Legon Hills. This time the price of the plots in East Legon Hills is quite high. On average, you can get, if you want a very good place in East Legon Hills, don't be looking at anything below $60,000, right? If you are getting something around 200,000 Ghana cedis, then it means that you are going further, right? You are going, where we actually call East Legon Hills has expanded beyond that level. Okay, what you originally know as East Legon Hills, it's now expanded beyond that level. You know, those days, East Legon Hills was just around the British International School area. You know, the furthest you can go is Hisense, you know, NCA area, right? Now we are heading into the Katamanso town itself. Beyond St. Paul town is still East Legon Hills. You see, the point is that everybody wants to be there. You want to be at East Legon Hills. If you come to British International School area, the lands are finished. Yet you want that area. So what is the next nearest place? You understand? So we keep on going and keep on going. Very soon we'll be getting to Apollonia. You understand? And we'll keep going. And you know, and I give a lot of credits to the guys who started the East Legon Hills projects, Wedro, you know, Chris and Calvin and, you know, Ernest and Emmanuel, those guys, they did a marvelous work. You know, that is their baby, that is their creation. It's a vision. They just got a big land and they decided that, look, let's go through this route. And they have created a good neighborhood. You know, when you hear the price of the land there, you come in with a good building in mind. Because of course, you can't come and buy a land at 200,000 Ghana cedis and build a chamber hall. You know, you build a single room, but no, you can't do that. So that has caused the area to come up to be a very good area. So you want a place like that, you have Ghana cedis, you want to buy a land and the land is going for 100,000 Ghana cedis. You still want that place. Why don't you look for a friend who also wants that place? He has 100,000, you have 100,000. Why don't you partner? So you buy one plot and split. Probably the vendor is not willing to sell a half plot, but the two of you can buy and split. I've had people, like 4 people, who come to us, they buy 2 plots, or 3 people who come to us, they buy 2 plots and they split it. You understand? And it works. They build their houses and, you know, it works very well. So partnership and joint venture, these are some of the areas that we need to explore, especially for the commercial properties. I think it's going on a lot. If you go to East Legon, mainstream East Legon, all those prime properties, you know, the shops and all that, people have the land, investors come to joint venture, 60 split, 50-50. We should open up to some of these ways of financing.
Thank you. So you touched on age, and so we want to go to that conversation. Now, please educate the House. What are mortgage rates and a USD mortgage?
We have different companies, right? Banks. In Ghana, whenever mortgage comes to mind, there is Republic Bank, former HFC Bank, because they are the pioneers. They have done it over a long period of time. They have a lot of experience, and so they have a lot of products. Of course, there's also FNB, which took over Ghana Home Loans. They do quite a good Republic Bank a lot. I've dealt with FNB a lot, on mortgage. I've also dealt with Stanbic Bank. Stanbic Bank is also doing quite well when it comes to mortgage. There are different products, mortgage products available. We have the home acquisition mortgage, which is what we typically will be going for. If you are going to acquire somebody else's property, and then they give you the property, they give you between 5 years to 20 years for you to pay off. Apart from the home acquisition mortgage, there's also what we call the construction mortgage. It is possible for you to get a mortgage to construct a unit on your land, as long as your documents are well perfected. You have the land title and there are no issues on the land. You could go into Ghana Home Loans, which is now FNB. You could go to Republic Bank, and they will give you a construction mortgage. You will have to start from scratch. The only thing is that they do those disbursements on phases basis. So the first disbursement probably up to the foundation, the next one up to lintel and all that. And you will be able to construct everything fully. They also have what they call the home completion mortgage, where you have done your own construction works and you need some funding to do the finishing. You could go in and take a home completion mortgage. There is even a mortgage for land acquisition. There is a mortgage for land acquisition. That one normally is they give you between 3 years to 5 years for you to pay, When it comes to the rates, the rate normally currently is around 28% going towards 30% depending on the company, right? Republic Bank is doing 28% on a CD facility, right? I know Republic Bank is trying to come out with a promo. If you are able to come to them within now till the end of the year, I think they are trying to bring it down to about 25%. That is a promo they are going to run. It hasn't been made public yet. So if you go to them, you would be able to get something like that. Then there is the dollar rate. The dollar mortgage, Republic Bank is doing 11.5%. There are those banks that go as high as 13.5%. The advice here is, if you are a CD earner, if your income is denominated in cedis, then go for a CD mortgage. If you earn in cedis and you go for a dollar mortgage, you are in big trouble. One good thing with a CD mortgage is that, especially with Republic Bank, is that it is fixed. So if you go in for a mortgage and it is 28% of, let's say, 500,000, and they calculate your monthly mortgage payments to be 5,000 for, let's say, 15 years, it means you are going to be paying 5,000 each year for 15 years. Irrespective of the economic condition, whether things are going well or they are going bad, it is still going to be 5,000 every year. So imagine you had taken some mortgage about 5 years ago, and at the time the monthly payment was, say, 2,000, right? 5 years ago, 2,000 was quite big, isn't it? But relatively now, 2,000 isn't much. If your mortgage was in cedis, then you are safe. Are you getting it? But if that mortgage was in dollars, then you'll be in big trouble. Because if it was in dollars and you were paying, let's say, $500 some 5 years ago, today that $500 will be equivalent to all 5,000 Ghana cedis plus. You understand? That is why if you are a CD owner, you have no business going in for a dollar mortgage. You understand? And I know Republic Bank won't give you a dollar mortgage if you are a CD owner. There is the public service or public servants mortgage scheme as well. That one is a subsidized mortgage from the government. Initially, that was supposed to be for people who are in the public service. You go in for a property, and Those days it used to be 140,000, that's the value of the property. Now the value has been increased to 350,000 Ghana cedis. So if you go in for a property valued at 350,000 Ghana cedis, from some designated vendors, I know Adom City is one of them, those who construct affordable houses. With that one, you would enjoy 18.3%, because that rate is subsidized. In fact, it used to be 11.9%, but because of the current economic conditions, so that was revised, so it is currently 18.3%, right? So assuming for 350,000 mortgage, on average you'll be paying about 5,700 monthly mortgage under the government subsidized mortgage scheme. You know.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're wrapping up with the final question for this panel. From a proper point of view, what goes into the pricing of properties? And once you answer this question, you can add your last words, and then we close the panel and we move on to have lunch.
Well, pricing of properties, the key components that determine price is location. That is a key component. I mean, if you pick the price of a property, you realize that for two different properties, let me give an example. For instance, if I'm looking at a 3-bedroom house at East Legon Hills, and I'm comparing a 3-bedroom house, or I'm comparing with a 3-bedroom house in Dubuwa, right? You could have the one at East Legon Hills selling around $120,000, $150,000. And if you go to Dubuwa, that same property, you probably will get it like $60,000. You know, the location plays a big role. Because to start with, the price of the land in the two different places are not the same. The one in East Legon Hills is quite high. So if I'm even buying it for $60,000, the land at $60,000, and I'm building on half of it, it means my base price is going to start from $30,000 just for the land alone. When it comes to the structural cost, there's not much difference between the cost of the structure in East Legon Hills and Dubuwa. So the structural cost is basically the same. The next thing that influences the price has to do with the finishing. If I'm putting up a building in, say, East Legon, the kind of finishing I am going to provide would have to be different from the finishing I will provide if I'm going to say Dubuwa. I'm not done playing on Dubuwa, but the building I'm doing at East Legon, I'll probably be using some Italian marble tiles. I probably have to get some other things finishing that are quite high. The reason is that the people that would come asking for those properties will be calling for that kind of finishing. If I send that Italian marble tiles to Dubuwa and I put it there, the cost of the property is going to be like $80,000 dollars, and I wouldn't be able to sell. You understand? So we look at the location. But beyond all this, the forces of demand and supply is what plays the role. I can't put $200,000 on my property in East Legon. If nobody is buying, I'll be forced to bring it down. If you go into East Legon, there are so many properties that are, I've seen some properties they put the for sale sign on it for so many years. The for sale sign even is now faded. They have to change and put another one. You know. So yes, you have liberty. It's a free market. You have liberty to put any price on it. But if people are not buying, they are not buying, you'll be forced to bring down the price. You know. So location is key, and to crown it all, the force of demand and supply is what actually determines the final price. Now to wrap up, I think one of the panelists made mention of the fact that sometimes we are fine when we are renting homes, we live in compound houses, but when we have to secure our own properties, then we are building mansions that we ourselves we've not seen before. We need to be quite moderate when we are building our houses. I've had experience of people who come to me and say, Ernest, look, I have 8-bedroom house. Can you please sell it and give me about 2-bedroom house? You know, what they did was that at the time of building their houses, they created one room for each of their children. They had about 5 children. Everybody must have a room. So at the end of the day, the building is so huge. Now these children, they grow up, they will never stay in that house. They will now, once they start working, they want to secure their own properties, so they will stay. So now it becomes old boy and old girl in the house. They can't even maintain the house. You understand? They move from the top and come down because their knees are killing them. They can't climb the steps. So what they used to call the guest room, which is a small 12 by 12 room downstairs, that is where now they are occupying. You understand? So all the investment they put in the building, they don't get to enjoy it. And the children, the funny part is the children in future, what they do is that they tear down the whole building and put up apartments. And the point is that I'm not coming to stay in there. My brother won't stay in there. Nobody's going to stay in there. This is 8-bedroom house. It's difficult to rent it. So what do? Let's tear it down. Let's do apartments, which will be easy for us to rent so we get money. So when you are taking decision to build, look, do your 4-bedroom house, quite modern, and rather get more land around the building so that the children in future, they can do something that they want, something that is their taste. If you do that kind of mansion, nobody will use it. It will become a liability, in quotes, you know. So please, let's be quite moderate when we are, trying to put our, and it is an investment. You put all your money. If there are people who start buildings, they are not able to complete, and the building gets stuck. So let's be quite moderate when we are getting our properties. Thank you.
Please, let's put our hands together. Big round of applause for Mr. and Ms. Kwashi. We'll take just one question because of time. Just one question, and then we can wrap up. Just one question. If you have a question, please raise your hand. I'll come to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon again. My name is Natasha Osei-Entry, CEO of Akuya Properties. Great presentation again. I'm learning a lot today, so we'll talk after. I'll get your business card and we'll exchange. But my questions was in regards to, you talked about the impact of cost and location when it comes to pricing, but ideas to help when we're talking with the developers about not only putting the fancy appliances or equipment in the houses, but also to develop the roads. Because we have a lot of listings now that are absolutely amazing, but the roads is something that we have to overcome. People are not wanting to buy properties that have undeveloped roads.
Yeah, you see, the developers are businessmen. That is where we need to start from. Developers are businessmen. Before I put something on the property, I'm looking at affordability. I'm looking at whether whatever I'm giving out will be paid for, right? So if I'm constructing road, I want to be sure that this road I'm constructing will be paid for. You understand? So you realize that a lot of some of these affordable houses, what we call affordable, the kind of road they provide is not something that will last. The reason is it costs a lot of money to do the road. And once he does that, he's going to overlay it on the cost of the property. Already he's not fixed a perfect road. The property's price is going beyond 350,000. Because per definition now, once the price of the property is going beyond 350,000 Ghana cedis, it is no longer affordable. If it is beyond 350, you will not even get assistance from the government in terms of mortgage. So once I'm putting on the road, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing all those things, it means that the price of the property is going to go up. But one thing is that a lot of the time, we the developers, and it goes back to the point about partnership, we don't partner. So you see a real estate company doing just about 20 housing units, another doing 10 units, another doing 30 units. If we partner, we take advantage of economy of scale, we'll be able to develop the roads, we'll be able to provide all the amenities that would even give us a cost that is lower. But we get to an area, everybody has a gated community of 20 houses, you know. So yes, we would have to work on getting the roads, we have to work on getting all those amenities, but we need to re-strategize the way we do our development. We have to go in for cheaper, funding. And some of these things, they sound more theoretical than practical. If I say go for cheaper funding, there's no cheaper funding anymore. You know, it's all expensive. I'm going for 30% to construct a building. It means my profit must be more than 30%. If my profit on the project is less than 30%, it means I'm not in business because the cost of funding is over 30%. You understand? And the final buyer is the one who is going to bear all this. So, yeah, you know, I think over time we'll get there. It's not easy, but we'll get there. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Please put your hands together, Mr. and especially thank you for all the knowledge. And so I hand over to my host, Tonisha, to let us know the way forward. Thank you.
So we are about 10 minutes away from lunch. The only thing between us and lunch right now is a special, extra, bonus, top star, 5-star prize panel. Well, not panel, soda talk. So Mr. Timothy Annie, thank you. Jesus. You know, I was sitting there doing an exam by myself. Say it again.
I need the hope, but you say I need the hope.
Oh, you were preparing it for me. Thank you. I appreciate you. Please step forward, sir. Timothy is the acting regional land officer. And he's going to be speaking to us for 7 minutes about all things land. I think we can never really learn enough about land and legal. Right? Do you agree?
So much more.
So much more. I mean, it's like I have more questions now than I had at the beginning of the event. So Timothy's going to speak to us, and we're going to have only 3 minutes for questions because it's going to be lunchtime. Is everyone ready for lunch?
Yes.
Yes? Good. Timothy, you have the floor.
So, thank you very much. The best time to talk is when people are ready to go for lunch. Half of the time they are not paying attention, they are sleeping. So you can tell them anything, they will listen. So thank you for the best time slot. Thank you. Yes, so I work with the Lands Commission. Good to be here to see investors in land. The last speaker was talking about the pricing of land, of property, and I was thinking that there must be a small component that is related to the cost of acquisition, which may involve decisions that you make at the beginning that may cost you a bit in maintaining. So you buy a land somewhere, your searches are not done right, you get from a wrong person. It means that you spend money to protect that land. You spend a lot of money or hurriedly try to develop when you could have taken your time to do so. All those elements go into the pricing, because if I have to spend money in getting somebody to protect land for me, then you must understand that when I'm ready to sell, I'm going to pass on that cost to anybody who comes in. So try to get your purchase right at the beginning. I was here, privileged to be here, a bit late, but to hear the company registration issue. I heard somebody from Nigeria who had come to town. I just wanted to touch on a few things. If you are in Ghana, we have positive discrimination. If you are Ghanaian, you can get a lease term exceeding 50 years, or 100 or 99 or whatever. But if you are non-Ghanaian, your limitation is up to 50 years. Our constitution says so. We didn't say so. We're happy to have you here for whenever. But the constitution limits us to 50 years. We've passed a new act, Act 1036, which also further clarifies limitations that we had. For instance, the constitution didn't explain if you were married what your status would be. So if you are Ghanaian and you marry to somebody from Nigeria, for instance, the law in section 10 tries to explain that you'll also be limited to 50 because you've tied your apron strings to a non-Ghanaian, and that will not be an excuse to skip what the law says. What a foreign company is, we used to go to Ghana Export Promotion to get the definition of that. Now the Land Act has defined that in section 10 subsection also. So if my brother from Nigeria was to come to Ghana and the equity was non-Ghanaian, 40% or more was non-Ghanaian, then it will be described as a foreign company. So if you go in to buy land, for instance, and the equity is more than 40% and it's not Ghanaian, then you'll be limited to 50 years also, because the company will be deemed a foreign company. There are a few things if you want to register or you want to do a search. Before the passage of this law, Lands Commission as a monopoly could take whenever, wherever. Nothing really held us to time, but now the law, in the passage of the law, we saw that to create a environment for the investors, we are now limited by time for searches, 14 days. It didn't say 14 working days. Said 14 days. So whether we are working on Saturday or Sunday, that doesn't matter. The last statistics was we're doing 68% around about 14 days. We are still not at 100. So don't come that everything will be done in 14 days. I have to be truthful. Yes. And for registration, the law is travel or not. It doesn't say the registration will be complete. It says you must know whether it's registrable. So if you buy, anybody who is entering real estate, you just pick a copy of this act. It's an act of parliament. You have to read through it. Laymen even can understand what the law says. If you are confused, you find a lawyer to explain to you what the provisions. But there are novel provisions that can help. For those of you who are into acquiring large tracts of land, before the this act in 2020, legislative instrument that directed or guided you in that acquisition. But section 102 has now says that if you are buying residential land that is about 4 hectares, it says, which is 10 acres, your registration process would involve the intervention of Lands Commission. And the whole idea is to get community participation at the time of acquisition. So let me repeat it. If it's about 4 hectares, which is 10 acres, in your process of acquisition, the Lands Commission would have to be involved in that process, which will be community engagements, because we found out that many people were buying large tracts of land where the communities themselves, who were the ones who owned the land, and the family heads or the heads of stool were acting in trust for them, were not involved in that process. So you go, you meet a legitimate chief, you enter a transaction with him, only to go to the site to develop, and you find all kinds of funny things. So if it's for residential, your limitation is 10. If it's for commercial purposes, it says 20 acres. That's 50 acres. The whole idea is that for large scale agriculture, there should be a bigger for that. Those are some important things. No is only in Greater Accra region and parts of Ashanti region. All other regions, we do what we call the deeds registration. It's still registration orders. You still have your documents registered in public records. And if you are going to, he spoke about those who give the mortgages, the companies, they are very big on you having title. So before you even approach with your money or your CD or your dollar, he wants to make sure you have the title. So let's make sure that if you are a real estate company, so you want to enter that, get the perfection of your title done at the base. Otherwise, when it comes to selling, you struggle. If the buyer, you are not adding those people to it. That means you are waiting for tabletop money before in their pocket. I don't know how many people have dollars in their pockets to buy. Very few. So those are a few thoughts I just wanted to share with you. And then I see people thinking of lunch already. So at this note, I will stop and then take a few questions. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any? Exactly. You thought they wanted. They're enjoying.
I just wanted to ask, where can we find the documentation around the act?
Assembly Press popularly sells. So, Assembly Press near Accra somewhere. You get the internet, you get the soft copy, but always the soft copies. You may have some versions that are very. You just want to be sure that you are.
Before I continue, now that we all have your attention, the owner of vehicle with the red plate GN3217, if you're in the room, could you please move the car? GN3217. Okay. Next.
Thank you very much.
I think when the lawyers they ask right some questions,
I'm not here in a legal capacity. Administrator, please. So please, if muscles and we'll do that.
actually,
I finished my and then there is 1976. And since 1976, and the chief said they have re-entered the land and they have sold, and that person had to find a client for it. So when we check later, we realize there's somebody who's on that land with a lease. So I told the owner that no, this land I can't sell it for you. And I even got a client who is interested in buying that land. And I told that client that look, you can't buy this land because for 46 years this person has not appeared. And this new person is holding the land with a site plan for allocation on in his name. And the first owner is also there. We don't even know where he is. So how do we deal with this?
It's a consultancy for counsel. I see him blinking because he's looking at a nice job for himself. But just to briefly, the process of, you had two things that you said. The process of re-entry, you refer to section 57 to 60 of this act. It explains what it should be. It's not as simple as people see it. You enter a contract with somebody. The person has registered his interest. There are clauses in the contract because the deed that we sign have conditions. He's breached it. If you just enter without going through the processes of a legal process, to have the authority, give the authority to Lands Commission to delete that name from its records, that's where your problem is. Because the chief is claiming that he's re-entered. That man has vanished for many years. There are other ways by which interest can devolve to others, but all those things must be done legally. If he can take you to statute of limitations and say he's not been there for 12 years, there are other things that you can appropriate, but it must go that way in order to give Lands Commission. I'm now speaking as a Lands Commission staff. You can't just walk to us and say somebody's name is there, the person has appeared for 46 years, so it has been sold. If you come to registration, the first question will be, we'll start asking questions. Why is it not this person? And then you have to support it with documents. If you have gone through the processes, legal process, it gives us authority to do so. Otherwise, it will be very unfair to just delete names. So he's there, he's looking for it as a local consultancy. Otherwise, I'll be taking his legal fees from you.
Thank you very much. Earlier, you talked about 14 days limitation, 90 days. How long does an act allow us to, allows the Land Commission to register and give people title?
Yes, so the 90 days was an innovation. I remember at the process of preparing the lease, the document, the act, parliamentarians wanted to say in 90 days it should be complete. The public servants were saying, look, there are things that arise in the process of registration. So the compromise stand was, within 90 days, we should be able to inform you whether your instrument is registrable or not. So it may mean that beyond the 90 days, the registration process will be completed. But it didn't set a time limit that by this time your certificate should be ready. But by the provisions of the Act, what it means is that you are sure whether you are going forward or you are not going forward at all in 90 days.
And it also depends on how well drafted the document is, what you have to provide. If you write a letter to you and you go to sleep within the 90 days, then that's your own matter. The law didn't say that you should have your document ready by, the government has said 3 months for title registration, 1 month for transfers, but we are nowhere near there. You have to be honest. By the last statistics, you even have casually an average of 9 months. If you are average, you may get 6 weeks. Some get it in 2 months. Some get it in 3 months. But the average, some get it in 10 years. But the 10 years, if you go asking, it is how in Ghana we don't give right addresses. Right now, phone numbers are there. We give our documents to an agent. The agent is the one who is the one between Lands Commission and you. You have no reference to your application. He's telling you that the man, Timothy, needs money before he can sign your document. You don't know the phantom Timothy. You are always giving the money. At least if the money gets to me, I'm okay. But it never gets there. And that's the sad part of it. And I'm encouraging you, are investing in a business. And at least you must know what is going on. Don't trust a middleman that you cannot control. Please, it's just advice, because land business in Ghana can be a bit complex. Because of our ownership structure, we are not in the Francophone countries, where because of the policy of assimilation, it's easy, all land is government owned. No. Here, customary ownership is 80% of what we have in Ghana. Within the customary land ownerships are divisions in families, and stool challenges and all kinds of things. So please, if you are going to invest, make sure that you uncover the face behind. There's nothing wrong with coming to an official business, because if you come to me in my official capacity, I can't tell you stories. Otherwise, I can't come and stand here because I'll be looking in the crowd to see the last person's money I collected and couldn't deliver. So please, if you trust somebody to do, or if you get professionals, lawyers, you get surveyors, if you get them, then you can hold them on their professional indemnities. Rather, so you leave it for the lawyer to do it in the process. Let him help you. In countries, some of you have worked in South Africa, the areas, they leave it for conveyances. They don't even leave it for you to do that. They give it to a legal person to do that.
Thank you. My question, you mentioned foreigners and then Ghanaian something. Let's say a Chinese company buys a land on it, and then the Ghanaians buy it.
You are Chinese?
Yes, so the China person buys the land, develop it, he's selling the properties, then the Ghanaian come to buy it. And the Ghanaian wants 70 or the 90%. Is it doable?
No. You are buying a Chinese. The Chinese company, by a company, we are looking at what I referred to in section 1010 here. The ownership equity is more than 40% is non-Ghanaian. So let's take it from that angle. So now he has 50 years when he bought it. You are buying what he has, what is left of what he has. The fact that you are Ghanaian will not make you a non-Chinese if you buy it. You stay with the Chinese.
So when we are buying properties, then it is good we stay with the Ghanaian company.
No, I'm just saying that the non-Ghanaian company will be limited to 50.
My last question, please. So this 45 years and 70 years or whatever, after that 45 years, what happens?
So you need to go again to section 50 of this act.
Because I have a case where the family sold the land to somebody for 45 years. 45 years, the man died, and then they were supposed to develop the land within the 45 years. Now the 45 years is up. The family is claiming the land back to sell, and then there is somebody who is also claiming that he was working with the land, so he's claiming ownership. And so
let me just explain the simple part of what you are saying. Land is an investment, isn't it? It is. So the years will pass. So always remember, when the years pass, there will be efforts to renew it. So for those of you in real estate business, like him, he has, when you're saying what he does, he has about 4, because he's a land economy based person, he knows what he's doing. He may choose to assign all the interest to you, meaning that he's giving all he has. He may choose to give you sub-leases which will mean that you still pay rents to him and he pays rents to the stool. When it's time for expiration, the one who is dealing with the stool will go, or the family will go and renew it, and it always comes at a cost. Renewal always comes at a cost. The hotel we are in now is on state land, government land. That's what it is on. It was given for a number of years. Every day, some of the lands commission is taken down. Once the years are up, he'll come back to the state and say, renew for me. It will not be done for free. It will be done at a cost. Before the passage of Act 1036, we had to go to common law to see what the practice was. What is the practice? You give the first option of renewal to the person who has built. If he refuses it or he cannot, you yield freely. That's what the law says. You hand over your building and everything freely to the one who is there. But this law sought to cure some problem. So Section 50 says, when it is time for renewal, if you are Ghanaian, it guarantees automatic renewal in some cases. But that automatic renewal is not free. Once again, it uses the word reasonable price, reasonable cost, reasonable. So I can foresee that when I'm gray and I'm old and I'm sitting at home, all I'll be doing is going to court to go and discuss what the reasonable is. What is your reasonable? What is my reasonable? What is your reasonable? That's all it will become. Because we may not have new land to be dealing with, but we'll be dealing with, at the time of renewal, what will be reasonable. We are developing the legislative instrument, the LIs, that should guide this. We've had suggestions that we should put in the LIs should be the ones who should assist people to determine what reasonable is. So that at the time of negotiation, two professionals can sit across a table. So that it's not arbitrary. Now it's very arbitrary. You can go and the person looks at your head, the shape is nice. Then he says, come and pay this amount. You have a nice Benz car, like Council has. His price will not be like mine, because I'll come in a little bit, so my price will be different. But that's arbitrary. In all over the world, there are people who are trained to be able to estimate values. Let them estimate values and negotiate based on the values of it.
Thank you. We have 3 questions here at the back, and as the back hasn't really asked any questions, I really want to get through them. Just a second.
All right, I have 2 questions. So first is about the registration of 10 acres plus where the community is involved. So there's this thing with the banks where, because of the new law, if you're going to put a certain amount of money in your account, they have to red flag it or something. And so some bankers will tell you that over a period, do it a bit. That way, there is no alert. Don't you think the same thing will happen with the community land where the school will say, okay, because there's going to be community involvement in the registration. If we have, say, 200 acres, let's give it to different developers. That way, if I'm going to register, there's no need for community. The other person is going to register, and before the community knows, all the land is gone. So that. The other question is concerning land commission and registration. Why do we always have to keep following up? I was registering a document, and for 6 months, because that was my first. So I didn't think I had to go there. I thought I'd just go through the process. The document was left there. Nobody attended to it. So I went there, and then the process started again. And I have to go there every week, or else somebody doesn't do their job. Why? Then this is just a contribution to the LI and the percentage of renewal. Why don't we put the figure there, 10%, 5%? I think Singapore does something like that. So that if it's 20, 50 something, and the valuation is done, you know that you're going to pay 10% or 5% of that. It's straightforward. Because like you said, going to court to decide on what is reasonable. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, so
brief responses, please.
Yes, please. So the brief response is that Lands Commission is like any public agency. We are struggling, but like the lady said, we'll get there someday. Some improvement has been done. If you've come to Lands Commission the last 6-7 years, there have been some strides. some things have changed. If you've come there from coming to see people on tabletops to a customer service, an identifiable customer service unit, is a step forward. You talked about documents staying in one place. In my life, 20-something years of being at Lands Commission, now we have a delivery and compliance unit that we didn't have. That monitors what we have on our desk and reports on a monthly basis. So that problem is for a while. Singapore and Co. can set specific amounts because it has to do with inflation and a lot of things. In Ghana, where the money can dance around, you don't want to project what will happen in 10-15 years. So we left it fluid. Let the professionals who have been trained to do that also have some job to do. That's what the parliamentarians talk. Rather than having a straitjacket of 10, 20, 30%, that they think may not be the best. So that's where we go. That's the law. We go with the law. And I think that answers. And then breaking bulk, it even happens in procurement, where people want to sidestep the law, like tax. There's avoidance and there's tax. Every time people I've seen a company applied for Lands Commission, 49 acres, 49.5, and it was commercial. So they were avoiding the 50-acre mark. So they did 49.5, 49.5, 49.5, 49.5. That is almost 200. And in different company names. But when we saw the application, it looked a bit irregular. When we lifted the veil, we saw that it's the same directors here. So they went to the stool and they tried to avoid the law. All we had to do was drag them in and try to, because also you can't be too strict on that. The law didn't say he cannot acquire more than that. So we just try to go have a process where we can be sure. So that will happen. It happens in procurement, breaking bulk. Once the law can be avoided.
Yeah, more question. My name is Tekle Gilbert. I'm an interior designer. Anyway, I acquired a land from a real estate company at Oyari River, and we began building when this family came by, claiming the land. We had to go to the police station in order to search. It says it belongs to the company. Okay? But the family didn't understand, and they took the company to court. At the end of the day, they won the case. Yeah, the family won the case and sued Lands Commission plus the company. So, how are you solving such problems?
Okay, my answer can be only what the current Chief Justice told me in person. Until the courts and the Lands Commission are on the same wavelength, we have a problem. And judgments would always turn hands. It's not in our hands. We can never control what the courts do. What can be done, and from the discussions, are that there are guidelines to the judges on what to do when it comes to judgments such as that. Those who are practical about it say all the time. All those who have owned, got interest or developed, they can atone tenancy to the family and we move on. But the problem is sometimes the judgments are left open. You've won the judgment, go and take possession. And yet the practicality on the ground doesn't match. So maybe those guidelines come. In your case, for instance, Lands Commission is only being sued because we registered for the company. So we are just a nominal defendant. We didn't give the land. So they want us to delete the company's name. We will do so, but then it comes to the family. How the family must treat those of you who were in quote innocent purchasers without notice. At that time, you thought the company had a legitimate thing. Those are the guidelines that the judges should be, the courts should be able to give. Or else it leaves us confused. We ourselves, we struggle with that. Kinsman is a case in point. We studied it in law years ago, and it has come back to bite us. He wins a case for 17 years. Now they've gone back, Supreme Court has gone back to the earlier decision. Rights have been acquired and all that. So please, once the courts go that way, we don't have it. They said lunch was ready, or we didn't hear that.
My name is Sananu Akpo, right?
Okay,
My name is Sanan Agbo. My question is, you mentioned earlier that lands outside of Accra and Ashanti region don't go to the title level when you're registering, right? So what are the steps to take when you're registering property land, right, in rural areas where adequate documentation hasn't been made? Yes.
So it's the same, only that you won't get a title certificate. You get registration under what we call the deeds registry in those other areas. And it's still the same registration, all the same. Only that you won't get a title certificate that people are used to seeing in Accra and in parts of Ashanti region. All the other regions, the other 14 and something regions, you won't get a title certificate. You still
there's an issue to run by you, right? Yes. We recently acquired property inside somewhere in the eastern region, right? Adequate documentation wasn't made, okay? So you went ahead and you started the registration process on our own. But then further into the process, family came in saying they have a lease and they haven't exhausted that lease yet. That didn't reflect when I tried to make my checks with the jurisdiction there, with the land surveyor who helped us acquire it, right? So how am I supposed to deal with such a situation now?
So the notice of registration in Ghana actually is voluntary, even though the law says you should register. If you buy and you don't register, notice is not available. I want to repeat that. If you buy today and you put the document under your bed, Lands Commission cannot be blamed if somebody does a search on that same parcel of land and your interest doesn't pop up. You just be brewing litigation for yourself. So the other people who had a lease that you didn't find out, you just have to know whether they got it from the right person. One, if their interest still subsists, then you are in trouble. Until their lease expires, you can't sidestep somebody's interest. That they taught us in law is like an empty shell. If I give you my land for 99 years, for that 99 years, I'm technically a bystander. My interest is just a reversion after the 99 years come. So if I purport to give you anything within that 99 years, it won't fly because I'm just holding the empty shell. I'm waiting for your 99 years to end. Unfortunately, families think that as soon as family heads change or somebody in the stool passes, then suddenly everything has changed. But that is not it. So again, in this Act 14 to 18, the law is trying to let all of them create what they call the customary land secretariats, which is like their own mini lands commissions. So that now they have the records of what they are giving. So that they cannot be saying that we didn't know. Let them have their own. Even at their point, they would have known whether they've given a lease to somebody or not. Unfortunately, once a headship passes, he passes with all the knowledge in his head. And the next person comes, the land is bare. He assumes that it's available to him.
Thank you. I can hear.
Lunch is ready.
I can hear the lunch.
Would you introduce yourself to us?
My name is Baggy Jeku. I'm an independent sales rep to Casa Properties. I found out about this event through Ewells.
Okay.
My reason for coming here was to learn about how to improve my sales. So learning more about sales, basically.
Okay. Okay.
So I've learned more about the industry instead of sales. It wasn't my expectation, but it's still a benefit I've gained from this event. Yes, it's also a good thing because I don't always want to be a sales agent. I want to be an investor at some time in the future. And this is a good investment.
Yeah, I think it's also because the whole idea of this event was for investment, how to move real estate agents from just being agents to being investors, right? Yeah. So I'm glad because I saw that you won a book for being one of the people who came early, so I was quite impressed. So this is the break. Let's see what happens after the lunch break. Maybe we'll get something that meets your expectation. Thank you for speaking with me and enjoy the rest of the evening.
When you just come to Ghana, kind of feasibility study to understand, see the environment and see how their business works in.
and the real estate sector. So, but from what the man has explained,
Well, from the last commission,
yes, the landmark. Yeah. So it looks obvious that it's not
it's
going
quite
to be that.
discouraging.
The process is quite complicated and it's quite discouraging, to be honest.
And you're not interested in the whole partnership thing too? Or is it because you do not know anyone?
You know, going into a full partnership, at least you must have a relationship.
Yes.
You know, just dealing with tax, any prior relationship, you are new and you can't just do it. So I was thinking perhaps there's a legal framework that we just come and everything is well structured. You just go into it when we have the money to like for instance, what we do, for instance, as a foreigner in Nigeria, you're in Ghana in Nigeria, what you do think? For instance, you want to invest in property in Nigeria, for instance, so it's quite easy. So all they need from you is just you come to Nigeria, you discuss with any property, real estate, or maybe family, or any person wants to discuss it. You have the money to buy the land, and so in as much as an African person, so it's that simple. So that's why you go to one legal process of acquiring the land. So it's quite simple by the way.
It's an ideal investment, right? IDEA, right? Now, the second one, I don't know if it's applicable here, but real estate is the ideal. I is for income, right? D is depreciation. I don't know if this is applicable in the Ghanaian context, but depreciation is, although we know that our property appreciates in value, like the guy was talking about, maybe in Legon Hill, whatever. East Legon Hill, you can buy something, but now it's so expensive because that's appreciated over the years, right? But technically, I don't know if it's applicable in the Kenyan context, but when you say depreciation, you are able to reduce your, take some loss because the property is increasing in value. So we call that depreciation. And then we know equity, right? We know what we mean by equity. When you say equity in real estate, we know what we mean. Who can define equity for me? Yes.
Your vested value.
Okay. Okay, your vested value. Your vested value is if you bought a property for let's say $100,000, right? And you owe $50,000, right? The difference between the two is your equity in the property. Okay, so that's where it's invested. Okay, so we said it's appreciation, right? Appreciation, and then leverage. We're talking about leverage. The fact that, for example, a developer, you go to buy a property for him, right? They will ask you to put maybe 30% down, right? And then you will take a little time to pay it off, So that's leverage. You were able to take the $30,000 or whatever to buy $300,000 or $400,000 home. Okay. Go ahead. So real estate is an ideal investment income. Okay. Now, principles and methods, right? I'm going to teach you principles that is applicable everywhere. And I'm very, very excited that when they were teaching, if you listen, they were talking in terms of the Ghanaian content, which is very, very good. All right, so that's what I'll be teaching, principles. For example, there's a principle called the 80-20 rule. All right, there's another principle called the 70% rule in real estate investment. When I get to the critical, 7 criticals, I'll tell you more about it. And then there's also the 1% rule. These are all principles. They are universal. It doesn't matter if you are in Ghana or US or anywhere. It's applicable everywhere. All right. Now, I'm going to this when I do them. Go ahead. Okay. So, what is the difference between principles and methods? Right? Principles are universally applicable anywhere. All right. Method has to do with the local environment. Like if I'm buying property in Ghana, there are some local customs and stuff like that I have to adhere compared to like if I'm buying in the US, for example. So that is what it is. Principles and methods. Now go ahead. Okay. There is a word that I use a lot. And when we go into the critical steps, I'll be talking more about it, right? Niche. Understanding niche, or NICHE. Understanding your strategy. What is niche? What is strategy? What is your exit strategy? Now, before I go on, let me just test something, right? When I say niche, if you've heard the word, what do I mean? Niche, N-I-C-H.
Niche simply means
small market. Who else have another definition? N-I-C-H.
I think it's your uniqueness. What your competitive advantage is. What differentiates you from your others.
We'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about niche when we are getting into the second critical step, right? Now, strategy. When I say strategy, what do we mean by strategy? No. Yes.
It's your plan to meet your objectives.
Huh?
Your plan to meet your objectives.
Your plan.
Your plan to meet your objectives.
Okay, your plans to meet your objectives. Okay. We'll go into what is it. Okay. So we'll talk about niche. It's very, very important word. As an investor, we'll talk about strategy, and we'll talk about your exit strategy. All right? Exit strategy. Another thing, when I say your exit strategy, what do I mean? Or what do you think I mean? Anybody? Doesn't matter. Yes, go ahead.
Your plans to get out of the business that you are in. Like US, like the past couple of years, the real estate, the market, increased. So maybe you have something to tie for you to exist and use the money somewhere.
Your plans to do whatever you want to do after you acquire the property. We call it exit strategy. These are certain ways that we're going to be amplifying more. Okay? Now, go ahead. Okay. I want everybody to think about it and write it down, right? There is something called, what is your winning formula? What is your winning formula? W-I-N-N-I. Building with a joint venture partner for X amount of money, right? Redesign the building into whatever units, right? Sell the units to the public for and make a profit of what? Can everybody write a winning formula for me before we move on? I'll get one or two to read it for me. Use this formula. Do it. You remember I told you about empowering beliefs and limiting beliefs? I'll give you a few minutes to do that. What is my winning formula? Huh? You can see? You can see? Can you move this a little bit? How many you can see? Can you see? Yeah, oh, okay. I was even using, yeah. Yeah, page 60, right? Thank you. I wasn't even using the book. Alright, so turn to page 60, right? And write your winning formula, right? I'm going to ask. I'll buy a piece of land in Legon Hill, whatever they call it. Develop it, whatever it is. When we go into analyzing properties, I'll tell you my winning formula that I use in the US. It helps. It helps you narrow your mind. It helps you focus, It's very good. Try it. Who is ready to read their winning formula? Don't be shy. I mean, who cares? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I will buy an uncompleted building with a joint venture partner for 100k, redesign the building into 10 units, sell the units to the public for 20k each, and make a profit of 100k.
That's very good. Now, I want somebody to not use my uncompleted building, but something else. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll go. I will buy a studio apartment at Heritage 100 in Laboni for 90,000 USD.
Okay.
With a 30 months payment plan.
Okay.
Furnish it and rent it for $100 per night.
Okay.
And break even after 5 years.
Okay, that's good. See, that helps you, right? You are able to narrow. Please practice this at your spare time, right? It helps you narrow. Who else? Okay, two guys. How about one lady, please? Who?
One lady.
Huh?
Hello.
Don't worry that you don't have it. You remember I told you have to start expanding your mind, right? Huh? I want a lady.
You want a lady?
Yeah.
Ladies in the back. Hello.
Volunteers in the back.
Your winning formula.
Similar?
Yeah, your own formula. This is an example that I use.
Alright, so similar to any group, but mine is different. Buy a studio of plan, get it cheaper, maybe 78,000. By the time it's completed, it's appreciated.
Okay.
I sell it or do a similar thing like that development.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. So we call that a winning formula. It helps you narrow and focus on what you want to do. Even if you have brokerage, like Miss Anatiase, the same thing. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, yes. Okay, before I go on, now I'm going to, this is just to work you up, Sky, right? And I know you guys just looking and say, who is this guy? So now that at least I have worked you up with that, right? You can ask questions, then we'll go into the 7 critical steps. Yes.
Please hold on for the mic.
Thank you very much. My name is Ramsey Apode. My question is, it looks simple on paper, the winning formula. Is there any room for risk in terms of there's any?
Okay. That's an excellent question. Now, you see, it's like having a goal, right? The goal is going to, who has a goal and nothing happened, you just achieved it. That means it wasn't challenging enough. Okay? So to answer your questions, this just narrows your mind. It focuses on what you want to do. And sometimes I can't explain the laws of nature. I can't explain it. But you see, certain things just come to you just because you have it in mind. Have you noticed when you want to buy a certain kind of car, right? And you have the car and everything, anytime you drive, you will be seeing the car all the time. Is you are drawing something that I can't believe it. I can't understand it to you. All right? You will meet somebody that will be talking about what you're talking about, and you strike it and you make an agreement. It happens all the time. You see, there's a word, serendipitously. Serendipity. It just happens. Okay? Because there are certain things happening in our lives, in the universe, that we don't understand, that we don't know. Like, in my opinion, you even deciding to come here today, it's like by divine something. I mean, if I can call up you, there's so many things happening. Oh, I don't know this guy. I don't even want to go. Whatever it is, but you came. And certain things that I'm going to teach you is going to help you. Like this winning formula I'm talking about. I've used it all the time. I used it now. Now I'm not bored, and sometimes we have to illustrate something. We are doing a subdivision in the US. 18 million. After we finish, we're going to sell for about $850,000. You will have rooftop and swimming pool, rooftop and elevators and stuff like that. Because at one time I wrote something down. I mean, I didn't have the money in my pocket. Who has the money in their pocket? I was telling somebody that, you know, you see people doing these luxury homes they're talking about. You think they have their money in their pocket somewhere sitting in the bank? That is what I want to disabuse your mind. So that's why I started by saying, don't limit yourself. There's more that you can do. But because you have limited yourself or limit what you think you can do, and that's why this is to free your mind, to let you say, hey, listen, I'm going to buy 10 acres of land, I'm going to build a subdivision, and someone says, oh, I don't have the money, I don't have these, and all kinds of stuff. And therefore you won't have the money. But if you don't have it, somebody has it. I don't know who has, but there is. So part is motivation, part is inspirational, and part is education. Okay? So the fact that you took the time to come here tells me a lot. Alright, so your question is very, very apropos. Don't think about where the money is going to come from. I know we are facing challenges and stuff like that. Yes?
This is just a comment to his question. You know, where there's risk, there's reward. And I think it's just about minimizing the risk factor. And that's why we have these seminars, so that you can be more informed and you can make informed decisions. And the key thing you said before was to have a mentor that can guide you so that you avoid a lot of these pitfalls.
That's true. Thank you very much. Somebody tell me how many minutes I have to complete. Huh? Okay. Let me tell you something, right? When I first bought my first property in the early 80s in New York, right? Guess what? I went to a seminar that just like you guys. I didn't know anything like anybody. Guess what I did? I bought a 21-unit apartment complex. That needs a lot of work in Brooklyn, New York, with 2 or 3 laundromats. I didn't know anything. I have no clue. And I met a Jewish guy. He said, George, you have chewed more than you have put it. So this is what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to buy it from you. I'm teaching. Listen carefully. I'm going to buy it from you. Because sometimes when you use illustration, people really relate, right? So I'm using illustration. And I'm teaching you something. He said, George, I'm going to buy this property from you, right? But this is what I'm going to do. You are going to own and finance it for me. Now listen, this is new. I haven't heard none of these concepts before. You are going to make George, I don't have a dime in my pocket. I'm going to be the lender for somebody who's going to buy the property from me. But he said, I'll teach you. So what you do is that I'll give you 20% of the money down, and then in 3 years I'll pay you off. This is all new to me. I didn't know anything about this. So we did a paperwork on it soon. You know, I told you there are certain milestones that happens to you, you remember it all the time. It's like when I met my mentor, Charles Hicks, and that's what she's saying, that try to get a mentor. Somebody who is where you want to be. Okay? So we did the paperwork and everything, and 3 years time, he paid me, called a balloon payment, he paid me off. So then I took the money, and then I was in New York City, right? So I went to Jersey City, a neighboring place, which was kind of a little bit lower than where I was, right? And I bought about 3 or 4 units over there. And that's how I started. My first one was a disaster, but I had somebody to come and rescue me. Okay? So that's what happened. We learn, right? Now, if somebody, like a young guy came to me and said, hey George, just right now, I said, George, you know what? I have a land that I'm going to sell. And I think the guy has overpriced it, right? So you are asking what to do, right? I'm not here, so I don't know the local whatever, right? So I gave him two advice. That's why when I came, I told you, that's what I told you the first time. I said, what? Try to network, join that barrel, right? So that you can know people and network if you're an agent, right? Secondly, try to get a mentor, somebody that is where you want to be. It's very, very important. Okay, he said I have 15 minutes. Okay, somebody where you want to be. All right, it's very, very crucial. And that's why I told you I'm going to set up a mastermind group that I can interact with. Now let's get back to this. Now I have 15 minutes, I'll rush through. Don't blame me. Anyway. Okay, one, right? One. It's a 7 critical steps, right? One, you said, define your niche. You remember we talked about the word niche? Okay. Niche are the kind of property that you want to buy, or the kind of lands that you want to buy. You want to buy single family, condominium, townhomes, industrial, whatever it is, right? Define it. Remember we did a reading formula, so you're going to define, because this is such a vast area, right? So you should be able to define what you really want to do. All right? Now, the 7 critical steps, right? Set up your office. You know, have the computer, whatever, WhatsApp, whatever, right? And set up your corporate entity. And that's one of the reasons why we have a young lady come and tell us about how to set up your entities. Because now you don't know anything, you want to get into a real estate business, right? So you go to set up your entity, your business, your corporate structure, right? And he says something that is very, very important, because I love partnership. I love partnership. That's what I do. You know, I believe in them. Especially if you have some money, they have the money, or they have whatever skills that they can bring to you. All right. So look into that, right? So one of the steps, and let me use an illustration. And I'm talking about the 7 critical steps. The first one is define your niche. All right, niche. Now, let's say you want to go to Tamako, right? And you don't have a map, right? How are you going to get there? But if I give you the map, right, you'll be able to navigate, right? So these critical steps are going to be the map, because some people say, oh, I don't know how to start real estate investment, I don't know how to know it, right? I'm going to give you the roadmap. So once you have this, and it's interesting that all of them, the attorneys that talk, the land gentlemen, the guy who talk about the financing, all of it falls under this structure. All right. So one, kinds of property that you're looking at. Set up your office, set up your corporate entity. Okay. Go to the next one. And then I'm not going to take too much, because I think you're going to talk about marketing and stuff like that, right? Okay, so one, right? Set up. The second thing is, how are you going to let people know what you are doing? It boils down to promoting, advertising, social media. You know, we have the traditional media versus social media. How to find excellent deals and bring partners to the table. How to find great deals. Market segmentation, which market, attracting agents, working with agents, brokers and stuff like that. If you are not an agent, working with agents. So that's the second thing that you want to do. You're going to define yourself, what you're going to do in terms of advertising to let people know what you do. Let people know how. How do you find excellent deals? I don't know. Let's see. Let me ask something. Let's say in this market, right? In this Ghanaian market or in Accra, whatever, right? How do you find deals? Anybody? Yes. How do you find deals? Huh?
Please raise your hand so I bring the microphone. Please be ready.
Yeah.
Well, hi again, everyone. Good evening, I believe now. My name is Natasha Osei, entry CEO of Sphere Properties. But what I'm finding in Accra a lot of times.
Of the compound houses, which means that in that house maybe there's like 20
units. We don't all own our own home. And in a westernized space that we're growing into, unfortunately, though we're Africans, there is this whole kind of individualization that's being pushed. So that could also be about the fact that they're counting the number of adult people and the number of houses available and making assumptions that everyone wants their own home and their own board. So I think it's a very, very good question. So I'm going to go right here and I want to put my shot. I just think that actually we're going to be quite creative about how we look at that.
I just wanted to comment on what you said. I personally think it's a combination because statistically about 57% of people live in their family home. So I believe the deficit is coming from there not being enough units because the ministry has been talking about building at least 200 units a year for the next 10 years or so. So it's units, and then because of statistically a lot of people live in their family home, it's also the affordability factor. When you look at the average, thank you so much. When you look at the average median salary, it's about $1,400 a month. And when you look at the cost of housing, even if you're trying to get a mortgage at a 37% rate, you can't afford it. So I think it's a combination of the lack of units and also
Yes, thank you. Where was the question? Oh, no, addition.
Thank you very much. I was just going to add that some time ago we contracted someone to do a research, and the deficit was looking at the number of people. I think it has been answered. Looking at the number of people versus the housing that is available. But the research went on to find out that the problem really was not the fact that there was a huge housing deficit, but the problem was the fact that people wanted to own their own homes and they didn't have what it takes. Looking at the pricing that we have now on the market, they didn't have what it takes to be able to buy those properties. So for example, we have a lot of properties in prime areas that are empty, that we are looking for buyers, that we haven't been able to find buyers. Because when you look at the profitability in building in the prime areas, it's far higher than when you go outskirts. And so a lot of people want to build in the prime areas. But the problem is that the prime areas is getting choked because there are too many houses that are coming up. The suggestion was to look at building outskirts where you have cheaper land. But again, even using the cheaper land outside, looking at the pricing per plot, you still end up with a certain amount of building cost that was still high, unless you were looking at dividing, not building per plot per house, like a division where you have yours outside. And then also looking at the finishing, not using a certain quality class of finishing to be able to finish. Because of what is happening on the market, looking at the profitability versus building outside not profitable, and then the high cost in building too. I think that's the problem that we have now. We really have people who want to own homes, but the problem is how do they buy within their income brackets, and that can only be done outskirts with division of the plots. Thank you.
And that's where I think the opportunities lie for us as investors.
So I was just going to ask actually, did your research also tell you what exactly is the affordability window that these people have? So is it the $30,000 properties?
Under $10,000.
Under $10,000, right? So if they can buy it under $10,000 or if they can have an annual lease for under $10,000?
The property value should be under $10,000 for you to be able to qualify for a mortgage.
You may have to be looking at around $30,000 because it's not really $25,000 to $30,000. But looking at that, it's almost not possible. Looking at the pricing in building those properties, So that is why you may have to think about division, maybe even dividing a plot into 4, where you have a certain kind of unit, and then instead of maybe doing a certain kind of finishing, you may want to use, maybe instead of this roofing that you have, you have to use plasterboard. So do something very simple and something that.
Let me make a comment. Let me make a comment about this, right? You know,
I think the problem we are having here is mindset. So as we were addressing the mindset, I was so happy about it because I was selling a property. Okay, I bought it and I was selling it, and this guy came from the US. He wanted to buy it. And this lady also is a church member, and I thought she would buy this house. And it was meant to be told down, or meant to be told me to this car. But she sell rice, she sell it in the sack form. So I said, so can you give me 2,000 and I said, that's wait me about 5,000. So wait me to me. So when I sat her down and I gave her the details, it was like, oh, then I'll buy a house. So the mindset is that I can't. So whenever you give them the picture that they can, you realize that they are just. So whatever property you have, don't just go there giving them the big figure there. It just scare them off. But you just break it down in pieces and say, no, you know that with this amount daily, you can buy a house. This amount daily, you can buy this land. And so when you break it down to them like that, say, okay, so you are selling rice, you are selling tomatoes, you are selling this, okay, you know that if 4 of you come together, I can give you a house that you can have 1 bedroom, you can also have 1 bedroom on one land, and the 4 of you can live together, you go to the market and you come out together. Oh, that is nice. Then you are bringing their minds together. But if you go there, you are like, it's a property. Some people will not even pick their phone to even ask the price. They don't even know the price. All they know is that it's expensive. They don't even talk of it. So when you break it down, when you go to their level, one-on-one, when I'm selling my property, I don't go to the banks, no. I go to the marketplace. They see money every day. And so when you give it to them that on daily basis, this is what you can do. And at the end of the month, you can do this. And at the end of the year, you can do this. So 3-4 years, you can own this property. They jump at it. So let us go to the people who need the problem. Those people outside there, let me give you a typical example here. What happened right now? When our brother sitting here said he is from Nigeria, he is now in the country. The break, everybody wants to. Everybody, somebody taking his turn, everybody. You don't even know this guy. Everybody, all the foreigners come, we are all jumping at them. But we leave the locals out. So soon, Ghana is going to be owned by foreigners. So let us try to help the local people. Go to them, this was.
And I'm going to use this as an example, not to belittle anyone, right? You have heard the word market segmentation, segmenting the market right now. What I've realized is that in Ghana, any building that they build, they want to put in the most expensive everything. It doesn't make sense. You see, in the US, and you can attest that, we have first-time room market, right? It's a loan, whatever, right? It's right on. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, so to speak. Bells and whistles, it doesn't have all the everything else. So they buy the first one. Then the second level, they must buy one with a little bit more accessible. And then you go to the third level. But it seems the same thing has to do with the mentality. It seems like everyone wants every luxury. You know, immediately they want everything in there. You know? So if I'm doing, like Mr. Jacob was saying, I'm doing a issue, right? I'm going to target the middle level, or the lower level. And I'm going to design a product that's going to fit it. The product is going to be nice, it's going to be well designed and everything. But it's not going to have all the luxury. Because they don't have money. And I would even use that money to do the infrastructure, control the roads, to the subdivision. They are putting all the luxury in there.
So let's think about how we can segment the market so that we'll be able to address the deficit. I mean, we believe that it's the government that has to do it, right? I believe that we can do it. You know, we can do it ourselves. If we come together, like the 10 of us come together, we put our money together, we raise a lot of money, we'll be able to leverage the money to get other people to get involved in it. The government cannot do everything. So let's start thinking outside of the box and see what we can do. All right?
Okay, so I think there's two questions. One here and then the lady at the front. Do you need some more female voices? How do you
I think you just answered the question I was going to ask. Because, you know, we all hear about affordable housing. But how affordable are the housing that people are putting up? Everybody is going to the affluent area to build houses. I look at my income. How much can I pay or how much can I save to be able to afford the kind of housing that they are building? So I'm happy you brought about the issue about market segmentation. That it is time we move to areas where we can build units that ordinary people, the market woman, the taxi driver, can also afford. Then we can say we are building affordable housing, but not the kind of things that we see going to places where one plot of land costs about 200 life. I mean, so it's very important. You all have it is important that those who are developing these lands also look at the market segmentation you spoke about, so that the ordinary person can also have it and wouldn't be scared when they say buy a land or buy a house. Thank you.
All right, briefly, good evening. What I wanted to share with you is recently I had a conversation with a pension company here in Ghana, and what they have, we're talking about housing affordability and how we can get Ghanaians in the, home ownership, buying, purchasing, is they have a program that they launched last year where you can pull out from your pension fund a certain amount of money, or you can use that as a down payment towards buying a house in Ghana. And they have outsourced us with systems with finding listings that are affordable, which is 100K and under. So if you guys pay into your SNP or you have a pension fund and you're a Ghanaian, you can speak with your representative and see about pulling some of that money out to put towards a down payment for a house. I don't know if you guys did that or not, but I did it. So, yeah.
So 100K US dollars, or you guys see it too?
You could look at
Yeah.
it.
So 100K, so can you
No,
clarify
it's
dollars?
oh, numbers. Oh, so dollars. Yeah,
And then something said, this was the national center of hospitals, this will be popular. So Bishop, please, let's have just one more question. One more question.
Well, this is actually not a question per se, it's more of a and this is related to affordability. And I don't know what we can do as a people, but I think one of the ways is having rails. I think somebody mentioned about having train and stuff, rail lines across board. That's the only way I see us having affordability. Because if you have a rail from Cape Coast into Accra, for instance, you can live in Cape Coast and work in Accra. Yes. In 30 or so minutes, you'll be in Accra. That's the only way because if everybody has to live in Accra, and people have to go to Dodowa, you can get land in Dodowa for like 20,000. But the point is, driving every day is also impacts your health. You work in Accra Central, you're driving from Dodowa every day. It's not healthy. So maybe we should find a way to push more towards getting more rail, and that would really, really help. The pressure in Accra will drop. People can live anywhere and work in Accra or wherever.
Round of applause for her. Thank you very much.
Collaboration, whatever it is that you can pick up, you make one. For example, there's meaningful. Right now, and see what you can do about it. Okay? That's one of the something that will be my final advice. Just take action.
Thank you so much. We are so lucky. Today is literally our lucky day. I need some help to move this podium, please. So we can have the next panel, which will be sat here. So this is the last panel of the day. We have spoken about what is an agent. We've spoken about what do we mean by investment? What kind of investments are there? What are the kind of investments that are needed in Ghana? How do we fund those investments? How do we navigate the whole world of legal? What are the legal implications that we have to think of? What do we have to think of in terms of land? How should we finish our houses or not finish our houses? We had lunch, we had coffee. We even had donuts. So I think the last thing for us to do is if we think about this theoretically, we've been through everything except for we've got the property. It's affordable. People can buy it. How do we now market it? Right? So this next panel is exactly about that. It's about strategic marketing and sales of investment property. And I'm so excited because we finally get to have Ms. Hannah Asiese and our Awani joining me so we can talk about strategic marketing. And I know this is going to be a little while to get used to asking for that microphone and standing up and asking your questions. So just keep in mind this is your last opportunity to hear and to ask questions for today. And then of course move into the mastermind. So please do stay focused, think about the questions that you have, and do not be shy. So once we are finished, we are finished. Are we not, Ebenezer? Once we're finished, we're finished. Okay? Alright. Everybody cozy, comfortable? So I guess the first thing.
Asiese, CEO of eWells Realty and Consultancy. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I have really enjoyed myself this afternoon. In fact, this day, because I've learned so many things. My name is Abba Amwa. I'm a valuation and estate surveyor. The name of my company is BDZ Properties, where we do valuation of properties, property management, and property brokerage. Thank you.
Right, did anyone here say valuation of properties? I think I'll start there. I will start right there. Curious for me, and again remember I don't know as much as the rest of you in the room. How exactly, is there a science to the valuation of properties and land in Ghana? And does it go beyond 20,000? What is the science behind it?
Well, yes, it does go beyond just putting a cursory value or ascribing.
That is finding the capital value of the property. Now there are others. Let's say if you want to value a filling station, okay, you cannot adopt this method because they will not give you the true value because the filling station is a business entity. So in that case, you use the income method. You look at the sales, you go through the books, and then that will give you an idea of how much it is worth. There are other methods, but they can not look at
Thank you. Right, so then once we have the valuation, we have the property of our investor. How do we go about navigating, actually extracting our returns in terms of, how do we go about that investment discussion? And then I'll ask about how we market.
All right, so thanks for that. What I typically ask people is, what is your financial goal? I mean, everybody's at a different financial stage in life. There's some people who are looking for the monthly cash flow. So if you're looking for cash flow, then you're looking at rentals. You're looking at either you're somebody that maybe you're looking for a return on your investment after 5, 7, or even 10 years, then you probably want to look at appreciation. You want to look at building equity in your home. So then you're going to begin to look at probably purchasing in an emerging market where you know that the appreciation value is maybe about 20 to 30% a year. So it really depends on what your financial goal is. If you're looking at cash flow, you're probably going to look at prime areas where you know you can be renting out your properties fairly quickly. So those are the things to look at: appreciation, cash flow, and then capital gains as well. So typically, if you can wait 10, 15, 20 years, whatever the difference is from the initial cost of the home to the current market value, that would be your capital gains as you sell it. So it depends on where are you now and what are you trying to achieve in your financial portfolio.
Okay, interesting. I was speaking to someone quite recently and he had a very interesting idea about how to extract the revenue from the property. It was a bit of an Airbnb type model. So if we stick with the Airbnb as you mentioned and rental, on average, is there some sort of, are there any sort of statistics or data sets that you can give us around the value of rent as using the rent method?
Yeah, so I think Mr. Anton touched on that earlier. You know, the rule of thumb is 1%. So, for example, if the value of your home, and we're all talking about dollars, I'm going to take a seat. If the value of your home is 100,000 Ghana cedis, then your rent should be 1% of that, which would be about 1,000 Ghana cedis a month. That's just the rule of thumb. Then you want to look at your annual rental yields per month. And, you know, I have some good news. You know, Ghana has the highest annual rental yields in Africa. I mean, I thought I would hear a wow, a clap or something, right? I mean, that means you're in the right place at the right time. So the annual rental yield is just simply the rental income divided by the property value times 100. And typically, the rule of thumb is that should be at about 7%. You're looking at other African countries that are even below 5%, right? But here in Ghana, you're looking at 8 to 12%. Sometimes in places like Hampton Airport, you're looking at 19 to 20%. You know, oh yeah, that's right. We're in the right place at the right time. So we need to take advantage of that. Somebody was talking about the mindset. You know, well, let's look at what we do have. You know, we have great returns in this country because we are developing, and we're looking at, you know, developments coming to various areas that cause the demand for the housing in that area because of the prices to go up as well.
Will help you determine whether a particular investment is valid or not. You can also look at the capitalization rate so that will help you compare different investments. So you have money, you are uncertain. Should I do my investment in a prime area, or should I go to an emerging area? Or should I even go to the house here? Now, there's something called the capitalization rate that you can determine with each particular investment. How do you come about this rate? You take into consideration your net operating income. Okay, the cash flow that comes, the rental value, minus all expenses. Expenses with regard to maintenance costs, property management costs, any minor property taxes, all costs that are associated with the investment, you take it out of the cash flow or the rental income, and that becomes your net operating income. You divide that by the value of the property. That will give you the capitalization rate. That's usually a percentage. But there's no particular capitalization rate to be adopted. But the general rule of the rule of thumb is that the higher the capitalization rate, the higher the risk, and so the higher the return. And so you consider for one particular investment, say, prime area, and then you can find the capitalization rate for another, say, an American area. And so you can compare the capitalization rate between the two prospective investment properties. And then it will help you decide which one to choose because you know what your return is.
Thank you. All right, so let's talk about marketing these properties. We don't ask for properties. How do we go about, I guess, marketing new properties? Yeah, what do we do? What are the tactics? Is it the same as any other business, or how do we do this?
Right, so, as a real estate agent, Mr. Anton talked about your niche market. First of all, you have to define what your market is. Are you targeting investors? Are you targeting first-time home buyers? Who are you targeting? So if you're targeting investors, the first thing to do is have the brand awareness. Let people know that you are an investor-friendly real estate agent. And then you have to then ask yourself, where is this audience? If I want to target an investor, where do I go? So you can start off with networking, business forums, setting up investment seminars. That will draw investors to your company or to your platform. And then you do several things. For example, I have, and this is my plug here, I have an e-lifestyle magazine coming out called Aquaba. And every month I have an investor, my investment pick of the month. And so that is something that we send out to our database, and now that targets investors who would be interested. So I think those are key things that we need to look at, and those are strategic ways of marketing.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that goes like doing business without marketing. Like making capital back. You know what they're doing, no making up back. So marketing is very important. It's an essential part of them. If you are a developer, you will want to market your property always. Once you put it out, you are looking for it. I mean, you put it on the market and say what's a broker. Well, for a broker, that is your job, marketing the real estate company. So they have to get it right. And there's a saying by Seth Gordon, that's the purple cow concept. Yeah, the purple cow concept. And it says that essentially you must have a remarkable idea, service, or product to do. And this is competitive marketing. And so one step to marketing is creating your niche, like finding your target market, and then you take your product to them. Recently, I was talking to some of the real estate companies, and they said we were at this mining expo in Accra, and so they were there. So the kind of possibilities of $1 million possibilities and all of that, they know that the best place to go is the mining areas where there's a lot of dollars. So they went there, they took their products down. And so marketing is essential. There are the traditional means of marketing, which we all know, newspaper ads, flyers, TV, radio ads, interviews, and then there's a more contemporary ways of marketing, which depends on the technology, the life of things. So there's Facebook, there's Twitter, social media, LinkedIn, and even with that, you have to know the kind of property you are marketing, do your market survey to know which group of people, your target group, where can they be found? Is it Instagram, and so that's for me, I have a few top tips when it comes to marketing. First of all, you have to make sure that it is educated, it is entertaining, and sell the problem that you are solving. Okay, so if you are a developer and you are building in a client area in Accra, you can say, oh, it's 10 minutes away from the airport, close to the social amenities, that kind of thing. And if you are a real estate broker, you can also add a few of that. And then you must bear in mind that marketing is a long-term thing. Sometimes we market a product, or in this case, real estate property, you may not buy, or somebody may not buy that particular property, that will give you a lead to another property. So these are a few tips when it comes to marketing.
I'm curious, one thing, so I have late information about we have something. And there was a lady that works as a real estate agent. I was telling her to do showroom events, like open house events. And she was saying she struggles to do open house events because some landlords don't want it. which I found to be crazy, because like in England, or anywhere else in the world, yeah, you expect to go to another house together. You expect to get there, the more people that are there viewing at the same time, creates fear of missing out, you think someone else will take it, so you kind of focus and concentrate a bit more. There's a deadline, sometimes you can pay for the privilege to join it. You know, this is something you've done.
Yeah, so I think it goes back to mindset, understanding the terrain that we're in as well. You know, a lot of people, first of all, owning a home in Ghana is something of pride, right? There's pride to owning a property here. And a lot of people don't want to disclose the fact that unfortunately they've run into financial situations or whatever it is, and now they have to sell the property. Because being able to have a home and pass it on as an inheritance is something that's cherished and valued here. So now that you're publicizing to everybody that I'm selling my inheritance is not something that people want to do. So we got to understand the terrain we're in. We have a lot of clients with properties that we don't list just because they want to be discreet about it and they don't want people to know they're selling their home, their inheritance, their property. So that answers that. But I also want to say this on the topic of mindset, is that we need to start looking at a home beyond a home. We need to look at a home for profit. We need to look at the investment factor. We need to stop buying properties from an emotional standpoint, but a financial standpoint. Because there's so many ways that we can generate income just from your property. You know, we talked about the traditional ways of rental. But now people are paying money to use your property as a film set. People have studios in their home, and the ultimate idea that I love is an individual who used their garage and split it up into storage units. So now, whenever people are traveling, you know, you're checking your bags, maybe you have kind of a wait time or, you know, the layover for hours, and you don't want to carry your hand luggage around. You can check your hand luggage into that unit and go and do your shopping or your whatever you want to do. That's creative. That's looking for ways to generate income from your property. Nowadays, you see people are partitioning their property, using it for storefronts, using it as, you know, car wash. They're leasing it out for commercial property. Some people are, you know, if it's close to a commercial building and you have vast land, they're using it for parking lots. I mean, you know, it's just about being creative. Where is your property located, and how can I begin to generate wealth through this property?
I love this. I love this. It's actually a really great point. So I have another question. So let's say we're not dealing with our own things. We're dealing with someone else. Many a time, in fact, I actually met Ebenezer, because Ebenezer was trying to run me a Ebenezer struggled because I did not like the tiles. People would always have like 25 tiles. I was everywhere. And I say, Ebenezer, I want white walls and straight lines. You take me somewhere there's a curve. Even all these circles in the roof are annoying. It's been stressful day. So my question is, how do we market properties that are actually just not what the audience wants, what the market wants, right? Because I'm sure a lot of real estate agents must have that, where you're trying to show the customer the potential, but the customer's not interested in potential. They just want what they want. So how do we go about, because that's a reality, how do we go about marketing, or how do we strategically market properties and handle the fact that we can already tell all the things the customer will like?
You know, you said how do we go about strategically marketing? I'll say strategically tell the truth, okay? Because some people need to know the truth. I had a situation with a client. I mean, the house was all kinds of colors, right? It was purple, pink, everything. I said, look, if we're going to market this property, you need to repaint it. And you need to have neutral colors. And she did. And 3 weeks after that, we sold the property. So be honest. Everybody thinks their home is worth $1 million. Everybody thinks pink is the best color, right? But you've just got to have a real conversation with your clients, and they'll appreciate it. Be transparent, be diplomatic about being honest, and let them know. And then you can strategically market it.
show you property. So I noticed that there's different kind of behaviors amongst different agencies. Some agencies charge to start showing customers property, and I guess that covers transport costs, wasted time or something. Some agents will pick up the customer and you're told, let's put it all together and buy. Others will say, you just get there, someone will open the door. Right? What do you find from a strategic perspective? What do you both find works best? And it might not be any of the examples I'm just going to.
And so the charge is usually between 100 and let's take you around to show you. I personally, I consider it as over. And so I will not charge you. And for the kind of properties that I put out there, I list, I sell or they are high-end properties in the prime area. And so if somebody wants to buy a $300,000 house with this before, or a $500,000 house with this charge, I will not necessarily pay $200,000. But some others, and so for me personally,
Well, we don't either at Hilo Realty and Consultancy. We do not charge any moving fees or, because some people charge moving fees and there's nothing in the car with you, and it's because they move from their house to wherever they're going, so they're charging a moving fee. We believe in building relationships and building rapport with clients. Obviously, we're not going to take them to 10, 20 houses, but, we give them maybe 3, 4 options, and then we take it from there. And what I found out is, I had a situation with a client, and, I took them to saw various properties, and they never even got it. However, they ended up referring other people to me, and I got transactions that came through that particular client. So you may not have a direct deal with that particular client, but if you give them the best customer service, the best customer experience, they will be your spokesperson. They will champion your business for you, and you will get more referrals. And anybody listening knows that your business is dependent on referrals and partnerships.
Thank you. I don't want to be the first question, but it is the last time. Does anyone have any questions about it? 2 questions.
Yeah.
Linked to what you said. So, you mentioned about reviewing. So, do you guys recommend charging commission to the buyer or tenant? For example, someone looking for a rental or buying, and you're showing them around, and then at the same time, the main question is, would you charge commission to, not only the prototype, it's more the buyer and tenant, because from those in the West, especially the European countries, they're not used to being charged necessarily a commission for coming to look at the property. So I'm finding that there's some politics with the Ghana system when we do charge commission, I'm just trying to work with it.
The property is beautiful and agents cannot take the buyer.
What we call a dual agent, you're representing both the buyer and the seller, and that's what we do. Yeah, and I think this is not a cookie cutter answer. I mean, take it case by case, because like you said, if you have a direct listing, then you get it from that end. If it's not a direct listing, you're representing the buyer, somebody else is representing the seller. You can either do a split, or you have to get it from the buyer.
Thank God for that law, that's it, that you are not from here and there, that's the problem. I developed my kids, and then this guy came and said, I sell all the properties for about 10 million. So, he said I gave all the dollars, and then another guy was taking 10% from me, and 10% from the buyer. Then what happened is that one buyer who was living in the estate or the house brought his brother. So the brother came to me direct and then bought it for me. He said I should still give him the 10%. We have to pay. The brother referred to, I bought my estate. No, the estate, the agent is not very good. The person who
Attendance.
yes, so he sold it to somebody first, and the person bought it for me. He took the person 10%, took the person from me. Now the person living in the house is buying from me. So do I have to pay?
You know, it depends on the agreement. It depends on your contract, because it's what you call residual referral. And if any referral comes from somebody I originally or initially referred to you, then I get commission based on that. So I think it's, you know, there are two sides to every story, right? I think there's three sides to every story. But, you know, what was the agreement? If the agreement is you have to pay, pay. If the agreement did not indicate any other referrals that come into play, then no. So what does your agreement say?
No, no agreement. It's just a gentleman's agreement. So that's what I'm learning from here. It's a mistake I did. I feel that I'm doing.
Yes. Well, I love what you said, you know, you've learned from it, so that's wonderful.
Also to answer our second question, with the commission aspect. So when a client requests a property for you to buy on his behalf, he has given you a work to do. That's why you charge the client. But assuming I'm selling a property and the client comes to me directly, I take it from the owner. I don't charge the client any commission. That's how I handle my business. So I think that with that, moving forward, thank you.
Thank you. Garrett, you are here to advise us on it.
So I think exactly what Sana said. We are not doing 5% here, 5% there. Look for a property for me. Okay, you go into agreement. That is a different thing. But when you are marketing a property and someone said, I want this property, it is the property owner you deal with, not the one that is coming to pay the money for the property. And that is what we are advocating from now on. Let us all push this agenda, because we are putting pressure on those that are releasing the money to do the investment. And it's a bit difficult. If you rent, you understand this. So this is the narrative, and let's move along with this. We are not taking 5 from here, take 5 from there. It's cheap.
Only one side.
Only one side.
From the owner.
From the owner. Owner pays commission. He is taking the money, and he's supposed to pay the commission.
You are not being fair to us.
Yeah, but you can also add your, that's something you add, right? That's the cost.
You know, the owner can also argue and say that he's selling the property at a price that is below market and he's not making any profit and he's breaking even. You know, so there's no, I don't think there's a cookie cutter answer to this. I think you have to look at both sides and then make the right decision. Because what if he's not making a profit? Then you're putting pressure on him.
There are some owners who even people you look at base amount and ask you to man. So there are no fair cuts. But maybe the other part-time Ghana is not very significant.
Just quickly, you know, we were talking about investments, and I want Henry with Kuro Africa to do a 5-minute video, because I believe that this is a game changer. You know, we're talking about real estate investment, and he has the tools that provides us with all the information that we need in terms of market trend, market analysis, and that sort of thing. So this is just a quick presentation. While he's setting it up, I think we could take another question. But I want to encourage everybody who's looking at real estate investment in Ghana, just like Mr. Anselm said, that financial analysis is key. And now we have a tool where we have the data. Isn't this amazing? Because we're always having to do research on our own, but now this research has been compiled for us. So we can take another question while he's setting up.
My question may not be specific for anyone yet. When George was, doing his presentation, we talked about the type of prayers from the new and all that kind of stuff. My question is actually from the new, whereby one structural, 10 units. Is it common here in Ghana and like a prospective real estate investor who are looking into that or not? Because like, I mean, I have some units that are reserved. Coming up as an emerging.
Let me understand your question. Is it common for an investor to come in and want to buy the whole building?
No. Just like I put up the property and I have like for the units. And one structure which has 10 apartments. Is it common?
Yes, it's all over the place. Yes, it is.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, go for it. Go all for it.
In fact, I think Eddie mentioned that studio flats are one bedroom. Studio apartments, which are condos, studio, same thing.
Yeah.
They are the most common, right? And first, I want bedrooms.
They're not for rent, but for like for so.
Yeah, but the people that are buying them to rent, you will not rent them, but other people will buy them to rent. So I think that, are we ready to watch? Yeah? Please go ahead.
To do a lot for you. By courtesy, Mr. Anson and then Gareth. We are grateful to you all for coming. We're grateful to Mr. Anson. And of course, Mr. Ebenezer Wade, who is in the middle of all this program putting together. He's done a very good job. Again, let me reiterate, Sudan TV show has been also been instrumental in this. 7 good weeks, they gave us the platform, 7 good weeks. And if I ask a question, how many people came here through Sudan or saw this program through Sudan program? There were a lot. And we say, we thank you all. So we are grateful to Odilia and the Sudan team. We are still in partnership and we are going to do more. Thank you all for coming. Also not forgetting Property Express. They are partners of Gareth since our induction to the executives last year. But they backslide, they come back. They are back. So we are grateful to them too for coming. They also done a very good job. They had, they met Mr. Hanson, do some pre-seminar interviews, and it also filled the agenda and then promoted the program. Finally, we want to award each and every one a certificate. Wow. But upon request. The truth is, you cannot just walk in and become a member of Gareth. No. Gareth is now moving into a professional body. We want to deal with people that understand the business, those who have gone through training. And you can agree with me that starting since morning, after this time, whatever you need to become a broker or agent or an estate investor, developer, you have it here. Yes. So it is good enough to present you with a certificate that says that you qualify to become an agent or a broker. Okay, but you need to prove to us that you want to do that job. And when we present that certificate to you, automatically you don't go through any procedure again, except for the police checks. That one you don't do. Then you become a member of Gareth automatically. For our members, we are giving you the professional certificate. And that certificate is going to Register General to prove that, yes, you are really a professional. You've gone through a training, and by so doing, they can also offer you their certificate to witness that you are a professional and you are practicing professional. Is it not good news? So, if you want a certificate, this is the number. 0577 438.
Hey, take your time. Put it on the screen, maybe.
So those members, you can put it on the page. If you're a Gareth member, you can just request on the page that you need a certificate. Oh, okay. All right.
You can repeat it, Jacob.
So the number is 0577 48 23 11. 0577 48 23
I
11.
know this number.
The magic number. All right, so we are very grateful to you all, and thank you, myself and my vice president. We are grateful. Thank you.
I think it's time to head over to the pool, do some networking.
I think we can take
hold on,
the
Eddie.
pictures.
Eddie.
Yes, madam.
Congratulations.
Eddie, stand up.
Eddie!
Thank you very much. Thank you for time hosting together. I think it went perfectly.
Yes!
Thank you. Thank you.
Eddie
So,
Agua.
please feel free to go as you're going, go where you're going. If there are any more books, I'm not sure if there are, and you want them signed, just find George.
Oh, I've signed them.
All right, thank you again, and we look forward to speaking to you.
Always. I'm telling you.
Bye.